Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Fake Nerd Podcast. Oh no, this is all wrong. It screwed me up already. Ben, if you could fix that. Hello, everyone. I'm Brandon T. McClure. Often confused by just the simplest things in the whole world. Hi, Grayson, in the chat already. We are here.
Bloody hell! That was.
We are here to talk about a lot of things. I am, of course, as I said, Brandon T. McClure. With me, as always, is my good friends Ben Magnet.
Hi, I'm still suffering from a cold. Sorry.
Sparks Witty.
I'm always cold.
That's true. And Ryan Eliopoulos.
I'm always hot.
Yeah.
Also true.
Yeah.
Guys, we're here. We're back again talking about.
Are you ready? I'm Mr. You got to start because you're Heat Miser.
Oh, I'm Mr. White Christmas. I'm Mr. Snow.
No, that's me.
No, that's.
I don't know it.
I'm Mr. Green Christmas. I'm Mr. Sun.
Can I be honest with y'all? The only context I know of that is from Batman and Robin.
Oh, that was like my favorite of the. Honestly, watching that movie, I want to say, what was it? It's not Santa Claus is Coming. The Year Without Santa? No. Shit. What was that?
It's actually it's the Christmas in July. Frosty
That's
and
it.
Rudolph's Christmas in July.
I think I've seen Rudolph.
Yeah,
Maybe.
It was that one and Rudolph's New Year were like my two favorite of those old school stop motion films that I loved watching on Christmas Eve. I love those movies.
What was the company that made those movies?
Rankin Bass.
Rankin Bass. They also made my favorite movie, Jack Frost, with Michael Keaton from the 90s. Remember that Rankin Bass movie where he becomes Jack Frost?
I do remember that movie. I saw that movie in theaters.
All right. Now that we're off to that start, before we get into our weeks and of course the links section of the show, I just want to say welcome everyone again. I will address something if you are listening to the audio show, you will have heard a trailer for a new show that we are doing. Sparks, myself, and Jeremy Vellucci, who is the composer for all of our musics that you've heard here, that you will hear tonight, that you've heard on every podcast. He, Sparks, and I have joined together to launch a new show on this family called The Real Score. There it is.
It's a thing. Sorry, audio.
There's the logo for our video watchers, and for the audio listeners, I will post it on social medias, obviously. But yes, this is The Real Score. Sparks, do you want to say a little bit about the logo, about Real Score, about anything?
Hell yeah. That logo was a lot of work, and it came together largely because my wife gave me input and suggested the gramophone, which I think brought the whole thing together because I was struggling up to that point. So shout outs to my wife. She's the best. The Real Score. I'm proud of the logo. I'm proud of the show. Due to the specifics of how we want it to sound like a good show. And to be honest with you, our episode 1's still going to be a little bumpy because there were some mic issues on Jeremy's side. But regardless of that, Jeremy brings a lot to the table for us because he knows so much about music. He plays stuff on the piano to talk about and break down what is valuable in the film score and talk about specific pieces. But because he does that, he has to record the piano separately. And due to stuff that has been going on, Jeremy has been unable to give me the piano track for the first episode. So until I have that, I cannot release the episode. So it's going to be a little delayed.
Sure. What the Real Score is, for those of you who don't know, if you guys have listened to the trailer from the last episode, then you know. But if you haven't, because if you're just watching the video, the Real Score is a podcast where Sparks, myself, and Jeremy discuss film scores. This upcoming episode, should I say what the first episode is, or should we wait?
Yeah, no, say it.
We're talking about the Batman, more specifically Michael Giacchino's score for the Batman. Where we thought that was a good place to start. And this has been, quite honestly, a really long time coming because we developed the show. We thought about the show last year. And even before that, Sparks, myself, and Jeremy have been talking about film scores for decades. We've always been such fans of music scores, theme songs for characters, John Williams. I say I love scores. I'm an amateur score historian because I love them so much. That means nothing, but what I was so excited about is that we finally get to have a place to do that, and Jeremy can, because he knows music theory, can really break them down in a way that really opened my eyes to why these scores are so cool, specifically the Batman, and I'm really excited for you guys to hear it.
Yeah. I'm so excited because one, I know Jeremy and he's cool. But like, I'm gonna be 100% honest with you guys. If it was just you two guys talking about film scores, I would not be as interested as much because
100%.
actual musician is like incredible. Even just having someone who like, oh, I love music, is not the same as like someone who makes music,
Right.
and who's in a band, and like teaches and like is a tutor of music, and like that dude knows his shit. So I'm excited to see this. No offense to you guys, but like him breaking down actual music theory and stuff is like, I'm really excited to see that because I don't know that shit at all.
Right. It is the key of why we're doing the show the way we're doing it, is because Brandon and I talked about like wanting to talk more about film scores, but we knew that there's no point when all we can say is like we can do some amount of analysis, but it's Jeremy's key to why the show is going to be what it's going to be.
Love it.
Yeah. So I'm really excited for you guys to hear it, to see it. It will be audio and video, just like all of our shows, with the exception of one. So I'm really excited for you guys to finally have this one. Number 9, baby.
Number 9.
Number 9.
All right. Shall we get into? By the way, the audio feed will be up before the episode drops, and I'll post about that, and so you guys can subscribe and like and get a notification when the first episode drops.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Cool. All right, so that's that. So why don't we talk about some links in the description real quick? I will talk about I just have the one. It's my comic book resources, cbr.com link. I don't think anything new went up there, but check it out. Go ahead. Ben, though, has 3 links in the description, as always.
3 of them this time?
Actually, you have 4 if you count. Yeah, I mean, we count Basement Arcade. So, Ben, talk about Grayson Live and D and Dark.
Okay, well, as you guys know, I'm hanging out with Grayson Live every once in a while. We're playing Mega Man X. I'm playing Mega Man X4 on his channel. We're still going through that. We're still taking down Mavericks and having a grand old time. And of course, this episode of D and Dark that came out this week is actually a special one, because this one just involves myself, Daniel Cruz, who plays Imhotep the Mummy, and our Dungeon Master, because the episode prior, our party split. Because our good friend Larry became a werewolf, kicked my ass, and then got caught in a dream realm. So that's fun. And we're trying to get some stuff to help Larry out. Most of the party is going to the dream realm, whereas myself and Imhotep have to go fight a giant, or we have to go fight a witch. That was fun.
Can I real quickly describe my perspective of what happened? Because when Larry turns into the werewolf, because he's the wolf man, Ben has this thing is like, I will stop you no matter what it takes. And then the episode ends on a really dramatic note. Then the next episode, immediately, Ben gets his ass kicked.
Oh, yeah.
Like massively hard.
Like, do you guys remember those old episodes of Yu-Gi-Oh! Where Yugi's about to face down with a character, and it's that really well-painted end card of the 2 anime characters about to face down? Essentially, that's the end of that episode, and then immediately the next episode, I do only 2 points of damage to the wolf, and and then the wolf does 20 to me.
Spoilers. Very funny.
Yeah, but even Grayson is in the chat saying, like, I nearly got one-shotted by the werewolf. That was
the Invisible Man.
For those of you who don't know, those in the audience who don't know Grayson Live, who is often in the chat, he does D and Dark with Ben.
Yeah, he plays Jack, the Invisible Man, as Ryan said like 5 seconds ago.
So both those links, all 3 of those links, the 2 episodes of Grayson Live and D and Dark, can be found in the description below. I'll use that to also segue into your Basement Arcade pause menu episode that dropped, where you talked to
Emily, yes, Emily, Orbology. So as you guys know,
Orbology.
Yeah, I still cannot.
Come on, Ben.
She was a guest on my show, and I still cannot get what her channel. I still cannot pronounce it right.
He wrote it wrong in every section of the email he sent me for the description, and I went back because like it also comes with a picture of her logo material with the title, and so I was like, well, she's definitely right.
Yeah, she is. She definitely is. But as you guys know, as of today's recording, March 19th, the Nintendo 3DS and Wii U eShops are about to be closed on March 27th. So we have less than a week to go until those stores are gone for good.
I'll plug in my Wii U.
Yeah, plug in your. But also be careful, because now there's news that some Wii U's are bricked if you haven't turned them on for a long enough time. The internal clock battery dies and it screws up the whole system.
Hell yeah, Nintendo, we love it.
Send it to DK Oldies; they'll fix it.
I've definitely turned my Wii U on in the past 2 years, so I'm probably okay.
You're probably okay, yeah. But yeah, so she and we just sat down and we talked about the 3DS essentially because she's a big 3DS collector. And if you want physical 3DS games, now that the eShop is about to go under because prices are going to go up, she gave great recommendations for websites to go buy essentially world editions of 3DS games, which is 3DS games that went into, say, like Malaysia, Dubai, like the World Arab Emirates, because it's still technically the North American cart. There's just a little tiny sticker on the packaging that calls it the World Edition. And of course, you could buy Canadian editions. They just have a France message or like a sticker on it that says this also includes the French language because Canada, half of it speaks French or French Canadian. But there are still good ways to get 3DS games physical. But if you do want to get digital games, especially for me, because I have Fire Emblem Fates, and I have 2 of the DLC, not the whole thing, and I should do that. I actually need to do that sooner rather than later, because once that shop goes down, it's done. But it was a really good conversation about the 3DS, so I'd highly recommend checking it out.
Heck yeah, cool. Cool. Of course, Scream 6, which we reviewed last week, has entered the Cinephiles. Both of those things that we discussed, based on Arcade Pause Menu and Scream 6 Cinephiles, are audio and video linked below. And then you guys, actually, I'm going to do you last because it was the last one. It was the last episode. So real quickly, I'll just say there's the Star Trek Picard Fictor's Watch that Cookie and I did. We are still a little bit behind, but we're actually going to catch up this week if his wife lets him. But we talked about episode 4 of Star Trek Picard, another really solid episode, and still waiting for that rug to be pulled out from under me.
Maybe it's a good rug this time.
Maybe it's a really sturdy rug this time. I'm really happy.
Stapled to the ground.
If they can really nail it, I'll be super happy. But still, even so, I still really enjoy talking about the show with Cookie. He broke my heart twice in the episode. You can see both times in real time. It's very funny.
What, just difference of opinions?
No, he said he was the opening. He opens it like, I got to be honest, this was the worst episode of the show. My heart sank. And he was joking about it. And I was like, oh my God. So
yeah.
And then he mentions his upcoming hiatus on his own podcast and unfortunately Fictor's Watch, which was not a joke and did break my heart.
Yeah, sure.
But it is going to happen. So that's linked below. You can check that out. Really enjoying that show. Really enjoy talking about it. And finally, Sparks and Ryan have ended their discussion on The Last of Us.
That's true. With our good friend Pi.
Jesus, troll.
Thrilled, honestly, that Pi could have joined us for that journey.
Yeah.
We had a great time. Love talking about that show. Happy to report we did it last week anyway because we'd already watched it. But
we came off the heels of watching it. Yeah.
But I'll tell you again, they nailed it. It's great. We're very happy with it.
Yeah.
I had a great time doing our Fake Nerds Watch. I hope anybody who hasn't checked it out checks it out if they've been watching the show. So, get on it, guys.
Yeah, it's if it were just an HBO show, it would be one of the best shows of the year.
Yeah.
It also happens to be based off a video game, which is also based off one of the greatest video games of all time. So it's just it's a cavalcade of treasures with this TV show.
I know for both Ryan and I, it's definitely already in the top 10 for this year.
Yeah, it's again this isn't not going to move. This year so far isn't as hard strong as last year. I'm not saying we're doing a top 15 or anything. I'm doing top 10 this year. But man, Moon Girl, Devil Dinosaur, this movie. What else? What else? I don't even know. I don't remember the rest of this year. That's a lie.
We're only 3 months in.
No, I know, but we had Peacemaker, we had Everything Everywhere All at Once. All these things were out. Those are bangers.
Everything Everywhere All at Once was April. We're not in April yet.
Okay.
So,
okay, fair, fine. Whatever.
We can still turn this around.
Whatever's next month is the greatest. Wait, Evil Dead's next month. Oh!
So both those links can be found below. I did watch the beginning of it because it just plays when I'm putting the links. And Pi's intro was delicious. Thank you for making him do that.
Oh yeah, we forced our friend.
Gave him a week notice.
Did it help?
No.
See.
We had a great time. Pi's probably going to join us for some other stuff in the near future. So always keep an eye out.
So that's all the links you can find in the description below. One last thing I want to bring up is this episode is going to be reordered this week. I did not have a chance to go see Shazam: Fury of the Gods, which is the movie we're reviewing later on in the night. So we are going to be doing the book club before the movie review, after the bread and butter. So just so you guys know, that is coming up.
That's how it goes.
Superman.
All right. So who wants to go first of the week?
I will. I didn't know.
Oh, yeah, Ben, go.
Yeah, I didn't do a whole lot. So this week, I want to talk about two things that I got into. The first, or not got into, I just continued. The first one, I started picking back up the Legend of Vox Machina season 2. I stopped watching it after episode 3, not because I thought it was bad, just because life came up and other things were invaded or just took over my brain, and I hadn't had time to watch it. It fell on the back burner. Show's still awesome. The season, as far as I know, is over right now. I haven't gotten to the end of it. I'm about 3 episodes away. It is still fantastic. As you guys know, I love Vox Machina. That's I know I haven't listened to all the Mighty Nine campaign yet, but those cast of characters really got me more into D&D than I really got me into D&D, and it is still a fantastic show. So if you're a fan of Vox Machina or you're a fan of fantasy, give it a watch. It's really, really good. The second, as you guys know, I've been fighting a cold these past few days, so I was able to get off work early on Friday, and when I got home, I was like, you know what? I need to play my PS5. I haven't played Sonic Frontiers in a long time. I'm gonna get back into playing it, and you know what? That game is actually pretty damn good. I didn't know if I was going to enjoy the whole open zone, open world, but it's definitely one of those games. It's kind of like Breath of the Wild, where it's like, you know what? I'll just do one more thing. You know what? Okay, that was too quick. I'm gonna do another thing now. And if I can only say, like, the only gripe I really have is when you go into like the speed levels, like in cyberspace, where it's like classic Sonic, where it splits between 2D and 3D Sonic style levels. Oddly enough, I like the 3D ones a little bit more than the 2D ones, mostly because I just feel Sonic doesn't move very well or the developers didn't incorporate the 2D levels very well into this 3D game. I mean, they're still functioning, but there have been times where I overshot a little bit. So, and I fell and I just fell and I had to restart the whole level over again. So, but other than that, it's still fun to explore. It's still very fun to play. There's a few minor glitches here and there, but other than that, it's still a really good Sonic game, and I'm actually very happy with it.
That's good. Glad you're having fun.
Yeah. Although, and watch, next week, Metroid's just going to take over my life again, because I'm playing Metroid Prime, and Kirby, and also Sonic Frontiers. But I do want to play and try to at least beat Sonic Frontiers, because I saw reviews for Resident Evil 4 Remake, and my God. Oh boy.
Dude, we got a Dead Space remake that's getting like 10s. We got the Resident Evil 4 remake that's getting like 10s. Like, just it's a year of great horror revisiting the horror. Evil Dead's coming out, revisiting horror, the year 2023.
Guys, have you seen the early reviews for Evil Dead Rise?
Yes. It was
my God.
Or SX, South by Southwest. I'm so glad I know what that is, because you said it real fast.
I'm so hyped.
I'm so excited for bad things to happen to people.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try and probably, no pun intended, speed through Sonic Frontiers as fast as I can, because I want that Resident Evil game. I want it so bad. I love Resident Evil 4, and the fact that it's getting this much hype for it, it just makes me happy. Capcom did it again. Yay.
You and I also played some Knockout City. It doesn't bear mentioning. I appreciated that you did that with me.
We did. We most certainly did. Oh, and I'm still mad that I didn't transfer my data from the old servers to the Epic game servers, and I lost everything.
Oh, that sucks.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, I'm still mad about that, but you know what?
It's okay, because the game's going to shut down in June.
I was going to say,
game's shutting down in June, and I did not spend money on it. So
expect a couple of basement arcades about the end of Knockout City. We'll be doing that. So with maybe Ben, but definitely with our friend Marty. So Ben, is that it for your week?
Yeah, that's my week.
I shall go. I played a pretty tasty, deliciously large-sized chunk of God of War Ragnarok, but I still didn't beat it.
At this pace, you never will.
It's life, and I will admit, like, I'm just less. It's not that I'm less motivated because I like playing it, but I'm less pushy with my free time, and specifically like with free time that I can manage with my wife when you guys have already done the review. So like
there's no pressure.
Like I'm like, well, I fit it in when I can. Yeah. And that's fine. But I'm having a good time. That's all I'll say. I finished the Rocky movies this week.
So, I saw this. I'm excited for this.
Yeah. Why are you excited for this?
Because I saw your score for Rocky Balboa.
I gave Rocky Balboa the same score, but I also still put it under Rocky 2.
What?
Yep.
Oh, you crushed me. Rocky Balboa. I really like Rocky Balboa. It's my favorite.
I can tell you in one simple reason why Rocky Balboa fell short for me. And it's that the adversary,
Mason Dixon
is just not interesting. He's not an engaging adversary to Rocky. Like every other person he's fought, even the one in Rocky 5 has been a better opponent, even though I don't like Rocky 5 at all.
He was a real boxer. That guy was a real boxer.
That's great. I also was not crazy about like the first half of the fight where like everything is filmed the way it would be filmed on HBO.
Sure.
And like they stop being a movie and they start just being the telecast for like 10 to 12 minutes on HBO. Right, and I was like, this is a choice and I'm not loving it. So those, but specifically like, I just like Apollo Creed as an adversary more than I like Mason Dixon. And that was the big thing. Yeah.
I mean, I don't disagree. I don't disagree with you. Apollo Creed is an incredible character. They never got better with Apollo Creed as an adversary, in my opinion. But
I mean, he's the Vegeta of the franchise.
Yeah, but Rocky Balboa has so much for me. I'm a sucker for legacy sequels just in general, and this was just kind of like before they really understood what a legacy sequel was going to like fall into.
So you said that, Brandon. So you said that, Brandon, and I was like, to me, this doesn't fall under legacy sequel because like it is him like coming back years later, but he's not passing on to another generation.
That's what Creed
There's no next generation coming up to
Creed is the legacy sequel,
which I feel like that's true. That's what I feel like legacy sequels are. It's about the legacy continuing, and this is not about that. This is like a one last
continuation.
This is a one last ride.
Right, but that's but it falls in the same line as like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull for me, where it's like it's very much still a legacy sequel of an older hero coming back to prove that they still got it, while also kind of fostering a relationship with their son.
Sure.
See what I mean? Like, so
I do see what you mean, but Milo Ventimiglia isn't about to become the next Rocky.
But Shia LaBeouf isn't about to become the next Indiana Jones.
Yeah, but they thought they
wanted him to be. Why would he pick that up?
They made that movie thinking he might.
No, because at the end of that movie, he takes Indiana Jones takes the hat away. Like, no, you'll never be me, kid.
Shia LaBeouf was so hot at the time.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing that he wasn't hot, but I don't think the intention was to pass Indy to Shia LaBeouf.
Here's the thing: if Crystal Skull had been received like 100,010% positively, we would have seen a movie about Shia LaBeouf's character.
Yeah, possibly.
It would have happened. But I hear you.
All this is to say that just like what Rocky Balboa is doing works for me on a level that all the other Rockies don't. It just hits me in a place that's more sentimental.
Yeah, I think he makes an interesting choice with the way he handles the Adrian stuff. I read why he did it, and I was a little like, all right. And then I get it, but I also kind of feel like there was a way to still involve her and have her passed, so that she at least got paid for this. Because I'm like, just cutting Talia Shire out of the franchise was kind of shitty. Sure. I get why he said it, because he's like, in his mind, he's like, Adrian would just be there saying, don't do it. And he's like, that's all she'd be, as a one-note character. And I'm like, well, that's fair, because she's basically a one-note female every time you write her.
Okay. Like, man, that's a bad interview there.
At least he acknowledged it this time.
Yeah. But then he decides like, I'll bring in a different female who I'll make a real, like, supportive force, who's, instead of saying like, don't do that, Rocky, should be like, no, you should do that, Rocky.
What's her name?
Little Marie. There's a lot to like in Rocky Balboa. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's up there. It's my number 2 on the list.
Yeah.
But Rocky 2 beats it for me.
It's so interesting that you like Rocky 2 so much. I get it, but it's interesting.
It's a good movie.
I don't know if you totally do.
It's a good movie.
No, I do. Taste is taste, man. It's all subjective. Like there's like, for me, there's a lot in Rocky Balboa that works on a very fundamental level. And same thing for you. Rocky 2 works for you in a way that it doesn't work for me. And that's all what taste and subjective opinions are.
Sure. Yum. Here's the thing we can both agree on. I wish Paulie was out of the franchise way earlier.
1,000,000%.
He sucks the air out of the room on Balboa so hard.
Yeah.
So that also is kind of a ding. Paulie's terrible.
When he walked into that restaurant, I was like, how are you still here?
I don't need his racist bullshit in this movie. Anyway, there's that. And is something I know we absolutely agree on, is Rocky V is just utter trash. Just
it's 100% trash.
Just absolute garbage.
I think that's the one that I haven't seen.
There's very little redeeming about it. I won't say there's nothing. I think there are tiny, minuscule morsels of redeeming things about it.
I made it this far in life. It's not going to happen.
It's not necessary.
Yeah.
Creed is a better Rocky V.
I'll move on from that to say that History of the World is something I watched, both rewatching the movie and we watched the first 2 episodes of the show.
Yes.
Of History of the World Part 2.
Hell yeah.
Because that was something we felt like doing in this house. And that, man, I forgot that History of the World Part 1 is Mel Brooks' just absolutely horniest movie.
Yes.
Like it is full tilt horny, which is pretty insane. But I'm really enjoying Part 2. I'm really enjoying Part 2 a lot.
Yeah, it's the same movie, but without a lot of the old school
not so good stuff.
Gross stuff.
Yeah.
Which there's a lot more of it in that movie than I remember. And
Yeah.
that's just me being 15 years old when I saw that movie.
Which Mel Brooks also kind of acknowledges at
No,
the top
yeah,
of Part
it's
2.
absolutely. Like, you know, it's a thing of a time. I'm just like, oh man, even the really good guys accidentally did really bad shit. Just like,
Because it's just, you know,
it's just
you grow up in a culture.
Exactly, yeah.
And
That
that
second-
culture feeds you.
That second, I didn't realize he wasn't gonna like be in it. He's not in it.
No, he's the
the
voice
narrator.
guiding it.
Yeah, but he's not in any skits.
I wouldn't be surprised if he shows up in the skits before.
I'm just surprised I haven't seen him so far. But
He did have a good.
I've seen 4 episodes. No,
Okay.
6 episodes.
Okay.
How many episodes are there?
8.
I don't know.
Okay, I've seen all but 2, and he hasn't shown up yet. So
Yeah, except technically the beginning of the first episode,
Okay.
which is,
yes,
yeah, but it's a great joke.
Yeah.
it is.
Which I will not spoil,
Yeah.
but it's a great joke.
Every comedian that they got is perfect. It's really funny, and it's like, you know, like it is like old school, like just like slapstick, stupid, really funny humor, like being mean, but not like being like really mean to people. It's just like Mel Brooks is so great. I love that. I love him. He's great.
So do you have anything more to say about it, Sparks? Because I figured I'd bounce in because I also watched it.
Go ahead.
I also watched History of the World Part 2, just the first 6 episodes. And one thing that I recognize is that, like, you know, Mel Brooks' humor is really low hanging fruit. Like, it's very much like pun style humor, the quickest gag, and it's very funny. It works for me, and it works for me really well. But one thing that really endears Mel Brooks, I think, is that he never really, unless you're Hitler, he's not punching down. He's definitely not trying. He's definitely not doing this to be mean.
Yeah.
He's just doing it to get a laugh, unless you're Hitler. In which case, yeah, screw him. And I think History of the World Part 2 really carries that on in a more 21st century way. Now, all the jokes don't work for me, but there are some episodes that just had me in stitches. You haven't seen episode 3 yet, but for me, episode 3 was the standout. It was so funny. I really appreciate that, like, a lot of, not to say any gags, but like there are sketches that keep going throughout the series that kind of build and build and build, and it really works, and really works for me. I really like it. It's very funny.
I'm excited to watch more. I will say there's maybe a smidge more Nick Kroll than I wish there was. He's
Sure.
in a few more sketches than, like,
Are you not a Nick Kroll guy?
I like him. I don't like all of his gags in the show. So, like, there's some where I'm like, I don't know, did we need Nick Kroll to do this one? Like, and it, just because, like, him in some specific points, there are other points where he's totally working for me. But in some specific points, I'm like,
sure.
That's a taste thing.
I've like never watched Big Mouth or anything, but I just think that dude's like really, really funny. So.
Ike Barinholtz plays Ulysses S. Grant.
Yes, he's awesome.
I love him in every sketch he does. I think he's so funny.
Yeah. He's in Blockers, a movie that I quite enjoy.
Oh yeah, you should see him in After Party, because he's the guy.
Oh shit!
He has the, like, Fast and Furious headcanon for himself.
Did you see? Did you get that? Yes, that's right. Did you see the? Did you see Ulysses go to West Virginia yet?
Yeah.
The town of Rockridge, not that one.
Yeah,
not that one.
Very funny.
Very good. I'm excited to watch more. I'll move on to some other things, just some last wrap-ups. I watched, The Mask of Zorro for reasons. That movie is really, really good. Anthony Hopkins being cast in a role he shouldn't have been, be damned. That movie's still really damn good, and I can't deny that Anthony Hopkins is bringing it. He's acting the shit out of the role that he shouldn't be in, but he's doing it.
I didn't watch it with you, but I was constantly going up downstairs and it's like casually watching it. I'm like, man, this is a good movie.
It's a great movie.
And da-na-na-na!
Yeah.
Yes.
I heard it from my room. I'm like, I hear it.
James Horner.
Yeah. Very happy to watch it again. I've watched it in 4K. This is the first time because I recently got my 4K copy and it looked immaculate.
Incredible.
Love it.
Yeah, 90s movies look good.
For reasons, I decided to upgrade my DVD copy to a 4K copy this past week. I had some extra money and I was like, I'm gonna buy this.
Hell yeah.
4K.
I bought the Steelbook. It's beautiful.
I watched The Mandalorian episodes 1 through 3.
Crazy.
So did other people on this show because we did a Fake Nerds Watch about it. That isn't out yet, but it will be momentarily. So you'll be seeing it very soon. And we had a great discussion with it. Our friend Forrest was on that discussion with us.
Really?
That's the way.
Forrest joined us for it. We had a really good discussion. So I'm really excited about it. I'm excited to get back to seeing what comes of what we discussed and where that show's going. So I hope you all check it out. I hope you have a great time. I hope Brandon joins us for the next time.
Yes.
My goal is to join for the next one. I was one episode away.
And it's the longest episode too.
Yeah. And then the last thing is I'm only 2 episodes in, but I've started watching A League of Their Own, which is the Amazon series based off the film. Very specifically, I did this because it was leaked that Amazon is considering, it is not final decision, but is considering giving a 4-episode second and final season to the show. And people are mad about it. Very mad about it.
I heard about
because it is
canceled.
The information got leaked. The showrunner said, like, this information got leaked. The official hammer has not come down.
Okay.
But like, if you want to save the show, now's the time. Okay. People are paying attention. Now is the time. So talk about the show. And people have been. They've been talking about it a lot this weekend. It's getting a lot of buzz. And a lot of people have been watching it. So I'm hoping that the show actually does get at least a full second season. If it's going to be the final one, a full order of 8, because that's what the first season is, or more seasons than that. So time will tell. But from the first 2 episodes, they have a great cast. Truly, like, of people I'm familiar with, like Darcy Carden from The Good Place, and people who are new to me. And I think they're all great. It is it's an entirely female lead cast, and they're killing it. They're just killing it. And it's a lot of great queer representation happening. It's a great period piece. I'm really enjoying it. I highly recommend that if you've been interested, like, because they are paying attention right now, like, check out the show.
Is it related to the movie at all, or is it just like a new thing?
It's just based off the same like
idea,
storytelling idea and everything.
It's not like a legacy.
So just like the book, what it is it's it is loosely based off the film, but it's also based off a book written by 2 of the women who were part of this, who were queer and in a relationship, and they had to hide it because of being part of this team and what that was like, and that experience of going through the league and how it was, because part of what they are doing at this point in the show, where I'm at in these first 2 episodes, is that they are trying to make them seem like proper women with a small amount of sex appeal, but like very controlled to engage the white male to get butts and seats sexuality. And so the queer women on the team are really being affected by that.
It sure does sound like A League of Their Own.
I'm really impressed with it, to be honest. I think it's very tightly written and very well acted. So if you're interested, go check out the show.
Now's the time.
Yeah, I bet I want to. Anything else?
That's it. That's my week. Nope, I'm done.
Right?
I guess. Spoiler alert, would you be surprised I didn't do a lot this week? I did start to catch up on this little podcast that I've been hearing some things about. It's about some misfits, outcasts even. Ben? You know. I started to catch up on D and Dark. Grayson, are you still in the chat? What's up, Invisible Man? I'm only on I just finished episode 6 at work. I listened to 3 episodes today. That's a really good time, dude. I have one question for you. Is that edited at all, or is that how just okay? Because like it is so tightly like you guys, somebody talks. I'm like, it is so tightly edited. I'm like, you guys have the best rapport of anyone I've ever met in my life. So like, if it's edited, that makes me feel so much more confident because that shit is so good. It's whoever edits that show props. 100%
That
Ryan
that would be
basically coming out and saying like, Ben, why aren't you like this on our show?
No, it's just like, it's really impressive.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that would our dungeon master.
Yeah,
our dungeon master is the one who does the editing, and he even when I started listening to the episode, when I would start listening to the episodes, just to relive it, to recap, and also it kind of helps with a recap of like what happens, because now I started taking notes, and I have a little notebook that I take notes in when we play the game, and it does help. But also just listening to how he edits things and all the sound effects that he does, it's just like, oh my god, this is amazing. Like
So
it's just so good, because when we're playing it, we have like ideas, and there's an episode that's coming out eventually where I think you guys are gonna love, Brandon especially, and I hope he puts in a certain sound effect in, and it's just gonna, he's a wizard essentially. He's a dungeon master, but he's also a wizard with this editing stuff.
So all of the, like, when he does like a radio voice, like that's all in post, like
all him.
Are you guys up on Discord?
Yeah.
Incredible. God, I love technology. Makes it magical. It's a great show. Great show.
When we're playing, he does his voice to do it in like a certain way.
Yeah.
But when the episodes come out, like when he does that radio voice, that's him modulating it in post.
Love it. I'm having a wonderful time. It makes me really want to continue doing that D&D thing that I started to work on like a year ago.
Hell yeah.
Now I'm mad that this is a good part of your week, because now I totally spoiled something that's coming up.
You've spoiled
like every episode. Every week you come on and tease it. Like, I'm
on episode 6. I don't remember what happens in 12 weeks or whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
all right,
you're fine. Besides that, I've just been goofing around my VR headset still. I got a new computer, and that's been still troublesome. I got a new graphics card, and I probably mistakenly, I bought a cheaper one because it was cheaper on Amazon from China, and it's like, it mostly works. But like, I wanted to play, there's 2 games that were on sale because Steam's having a big VR sale, and it was like the perfect time. So I bought Skyrim VR. And guys, real quick, I want to count how many times I bought Skyrim before, because I'm part of the problem, because that game came out on the Xbox 360 in 2011. I bought that copy.
Yeah.
I also definitely bought the PS3 copy when it came up for the PS3. Mm-hmm. I also bought the PS4 copy. Mm-hmm. I also bought the PS4 Special Edition copy. I also bought the PC Special Edition copy. Guess what? Last year there was the Anniversary Edition where it was a $20 upgrade, but I bought that twice on the PS5 and on my PC because I want all the shit. Guys, Skyrim's an incredible game. There are very few open world RPGs that are like, I just love living in that world, and
full respect.
Yeah, and like that is the one game where I'm like, that I respect. You made a good enough game where I will buy it for the rest of the time. It is the Mario of open world RPGs. Like, I will buy that game endlessly over and over again. Right? Playing it in VR is an entirely different experience. It is incredible. It is like, most of the VR games I've played so far are on the Oculus itself, so it's built into the headset, meaning it can't be a full-ass, big-ass game like you'd have on a PC or a PS4, right? So most of the experiences they're really fun. I'm having a great time, but they're mostly like combat scenarios and combat challenges and like sandbox arenas. Like, They're limited, yeah. Like the game's files, like Cyberpunk's like 100 gigs. The biggest file size on one of these things is like 5 gigs. Like, it is incredibly limited, right? But if you have a PC, you can connect it to your Oculus and you can play PC VR games. So with Skyrim, I'm able to play Skyrim in VR. And that is truly, I played that game for over a decade for hundreds of hours. It's like playing that game for the first time again, because like I'm walking around, all the NPCs are my size. They're just talking to me, and like I have to pull my weapons out. Like it's just like, it's so great. And the game looks like shit. Like, you know, those games, they always look like those games. Starfield is not even out yet, and that game's already outdated graphics. You know what I mean? Like, it's never been about graphics for those games. It's about the world and how good the RPG elements are.
Sure.
So just being in that world again is so fun. It's so great. And I downloaded a bunch of mods. Again, so it's just like wonderful, fun experience. Love it. It's like a perfect, I'm just living my own Dungeons and Dragons fantasy experience right now.
I'm happy for you.
Also, the best VR game ever released, it probably will be the best VR game ever made, is Half-Life Alyx.
Right.
It is the reason people buy a VR machine. And guys, I am not exaggerating when I'm saying that is a life-changing game experience. There is no other VR experience I've had like it. That is a full-ass, like an Uncharted style game, like, you know, you're going down corridors shooting people, you know, like a narrative game, but you're in VR and you can pick up everything, and everything is so detailed, and your hands work and all the fingers work, and it's just like, oh, if this is what the future of VR is, I see the appeal. Like once you can start putting real games into this shit, like that's why the PSVR, I was kind of excited, but I didn't buy it because there's a Horizon game that's a full ass Horizon game that looks incredible, that has PlayStation 5 graphics, and it's VR. You're shooting bows and shit. And I'm like, oh man, it's not a gimmick anymore. We just needed the technology to be able to reach to these levels. Right. And unfortunately, my PC is still not like the best. So like these games aren't running super well, but they are running, and that's still fantastic. I would need to spend like $2,000 to have like an incredible VR machine. It just needs so much processing power to be able to do so much wrap around, and like having two separate video images running at the same time for the VR machine to work. It's just so much power. Like sometimes my computer just shuts down because it's like, this is too much power. Unlimited power is not what I have. I got 750 RPGs.
So what you're saying is now you're playing with power.
Now I'm playing with limited power. Regardless, even though I'm crashing more than I'd like to, it's still a great experience. It is so much fun. Like Half-Life Alyx is like, it's incredible, man. Like it's like the first time you played, like, I don't know, man, like first time you played Halo or like Batman Arkham Asylum. It's like, man, video games can be like this. Holy shit.
Halo's probably a pretty good.
Halo's a good one, yeah, especially because we played that when we were young.
Or like even like we didn't necessarily maybe experience this, but like the generation that like got Doom. After they played everything before Doom, and then they got Doom, and they're like,
like Half-Life Alyx is like truly, and like I've read a bunch of reviews, and I was like, before I bought it was on sale, but I was gonna buy it anyway. But I read a bunch of reviews. They're like, this is the real deal, y'all. This is the first like quote unquote like next gen VR game, and it came out 2 years ago. So like the future is incredibly bright. I'm so excited. I will buy a PSVR 2 because if they're gonna if I can play Resident Evil like 4 and Resident Evil 8 in full VR and it's like better looking than my Oculus, because the PSVR 2 is incredible. It is a piece of technology. It just has a very limited software. I don't want to spend almost $600 to play like 2 games. So in like a year or two, that thing's gonna be banging. Dude, we could play like Resident Evil 4 and that shit. Oh my god, give me a break. Love it.
I have a question for you, Ryan.
I have an answer.
Is Choo Choo Charles available in VR?
No, not yet. But the fun thing about the modding community, Brandon, is I found that you can play so many games in VR with just enough work around on a computer. So
also Brandon, there are plenty of PSVR horror games that we will make Ben play.
I know, but he's very scared of Choo Choo Charles, and until now forgot that it was out. So
no, I remembered it was out. I was actually talking about it to a friend of mine who came back down from Washington today, and I told him what the game was about, and I'm very
stay tuned for our October Basement Arcade series for that. It'll be fun.
It was $13. It was the best $13 I ever spent, man.
Although I will have to say, I loved your Instagram story of the spelling mistakes on your graphics card box.
Oh, that was a great time.
Wow. Anything else, Ryan?
Probably, but like it's nothing of significance. I watch so many YouTube. I'm just like, I really just loved listening to the D&D podcast, Ben, because like I haven't listened to Critical Role in a while, and I really do love D&D. I love like real play. Oh, I did also start listening. There's another Friends at the Table is another real actual play podcast. I'm listening to one called Counterweight, which is a mech noir. It's part detective story, part mecha story. That Austin Walker hosts, and he's been on Giant Bomb, Vice, Waypoint. He's a guy Sparks and I really like. He's been running games like this for like a decade. So I'm going back to the beginning because he's had like this 10-year world he's built. So like it's a slow process, but I wanted to make sure I got some spookies in too.
Yeah, Ryan, I will not lie. Because I told you guys I got the Dungeon Master's Guide and the Monster Manual for Christmas, right? I want to start with being a DM, and not only that, when I went to SideQuest, which is a booth at Frankenstein's that deals in Dungeons and Dragons stuff, dice, modules, everything.
It's awesome.
They have a Dark Souls rule book that's compatible with 5e, and I cannot tell you how bad I want to do a Dark Souls campaign with you and some other people who are into it, because I want to do that so freaking bad.
It's compatible with D&D. Oh, that makes it easy transfer instead of being like its own little thing.
Yeah, it's 5e compatible.
Lovely.
I want to play Dark Souls, and also the best part, once you get past the first page, the flyleaf, the first page, you want to know what it says?
Prepare to die.
You died.
You died. Oh, that's close. Love it. So that's me. Lots of this podcast anyway.
All right. So I already talked about History of the World Part 2, so I won't talk about that. I watched a movie. I finished a movie that Ryan already finished, Battle of the Super Sons. You talked about that a little while ago. I didn't know it was written by Jeremy Adams, the current writer of the Flash series. That was cool. I ended up really enjoying it. It's a lot of fun. I think the script could be tighter. With the animation, it makes the pacing a little slow in the middle, especially because the animation it's rough. It's not as great as it should be.
It's weird. It's a cool first step for what this eventually could look like. Yeah,
I think where it really succeeds is honestly with Starro. There's a lot of really cool like eldritch horror with Starro. There's I don't mind saying this, but like Starro comes out of people's mouths and then like slithers up their face, and that's how Starro is hiding.
It's awesome.
So cool. And Starro himself looks really interesting. It's in a way I've never seen him look before. But the really cool thing is that it feels very much like the Super Sons. You know, obviously their comic book does not exist anymore. John Kent in the comics is older than Damian Wayne, but it's really nice to see the two of them at this age working together for the first time, and this is like their meeting. And I just, if you like their dynamic, this is a really good adaptation of that dynamic. The kid who plays Freddy in Shazam is John Kent.
Jack Dylan Glazer.
Who we'll be
talking about today. Look at that.
And so I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. I liked specifically, I think the movie that it sells, which is a movie about the Super Son, it succeeds very well.
I 100% agree.
I will talk about Did Titanic Sink? I meant to talk about this last week, but I finally finished the podcast, this kind of conspiracy podcast that I was talking about called Did Titanic Sink? Which is a conspiracy that I talked about this 2 weeks ago when it was just Ben and me. Basically, for those of you who don't know, it's a podcast around the conspiracy that it was not the Titanic, it was the Olympic. For those of you who don't know, there's a long-running conspiracy that the Titanic was not the ship that sank. It was, in fact, her sister ship, the Olympic.
Have they talked to Jimmy Cams at all?
No, they don't talk to James Cameron.
Just curious.
What it is one guy who has obsessively studied Titanic for his entire life and the conspiracy around the Olympic at the Titanic, detailing what the conspiracy is, why the conspiracy came around, what the evidence around this conspiracy, such as there was a fire in the Titanic that is well documented. There was a fire raging in the Titanic for 3 weeks that weakened one of the watertight compartments. That is real. That is not conspiracy. That was real history. And they put that fire out. The kind of around the conspiracy is that a fire there would sink the Titanic in about 12 hours, which is plenty of time to get everybody off the boat. The iceberg being hit would sink the Titanic in 3 hours, which is why so many people died. So the conspiracy wasn't though it was to kill a bunch of people. The hope was that everyone would get out of the boat with enough time, but the Titanic hit an iceberg, and that was kind of the act of God that sank the ship in total. Really interesting. I don't believe it for a second. And there's a twist ending at the end, which so good. But it's a comedy podcast. It's very much like this is kind of a silly thing. And yes, this guy is delivering really intense, really research, really interesting evidence. But the idea is not to convince people that what this conspiracy is true. It is to kind of educate people on it almost. I found it really cool. It's really fun to listen to. It's only 6 episodes, and each one is 30 minutes long. Very quick to get through. I highly enjoyed it. It's funny. It's informative. I learned so much about the Titanic. That James Cameron movie is very accurate, with the exception of the fire. I highly recommend it for those of you who haven't listened to it. It's done by an Australian and a New Zealander. So much fun. Really enjoyed it.
Love it.
Then I finally got through. I'm kind of slowly getting through my list of comic books that I'm reading through, but I decided to read because last week I finished Black Hammer Visions and the Unbelievable Unteens. So I finished the latest series, Black Hammer Reborn, which is the latest 12-issue maxi series that set in the Black Hammer universe and is furthering the story rather than kind of doing one shots around the world. Really good. It's far more. It's a different type of story because it's about the second Black Hammer, who is Black Hammer's daughter, but 20 years after she was Black Hammer and what Spiral City looks like in 2026 and not 1996, which is where Black Hammer was originally set. So it kind of brings it to the modern day. I know it's 2023 now, but like still. And kind of details how Spiral City has moved on from superheroes and supervillains and why she stopped being Black Hammer and how this wraps around a conspiracy that threatens to have two multiverses collide in on themselves. Really cool. Really like Black Hammer in general. This is a strong entry in the Black Hammer universe with an incredible ending. And at the end of it, it said to be continued in Black Hammer: The End. And so I'm emotionally compromised. So we'll see what happens.
The end? Question mark?
Yeah, it's probably going to be the end of like the main series, but he'll probably do like minis and things like Mike Mignola does for Hellboy.
Yeah.
But yeah, excellent series. If you have not caught up on Black Hammer, I highly recommend Black Hammer. It's awesome. It's an awesome book. This run gets a lot of play with Skulldigger, who is so cool. He's like their Batman and Punisher combined. And we get more Colonel Weird, who I love. Colonel Weird. There was a really cool Fantastic Four reference, and that's all I'll say for those of you who are interested in reading Black Hammer. But there was a really cool Fantastic Four reference in regards to Colonel Weird. All right, so that's all I got.
All right, lovely.
Let's go into our bread and butter.
I was about to yell, Babs, get in here.
There she is.
I know I cut you off, Ryan, but that voice, the yum yum yum, that's how I hear Colonel Weird's voice. For whatever reason, that's how I hear Colonel Weird.
When I heard Ryan say that, that just reminded me of the memes that's been going around on TikTok and Instagram, where it's like, there is a condition I suffer called insomnia.
What does it remind you of, Sparks? My voice that I just did. What does it remind you of?
I can't place it right now.
Damn it!
Sorry, I failed you.
We'll come back to you.
All right, so some sad news up top. Bobby Caldwell passed away this week at the age of 71. Now, Sparks, you wanted to shine some light on this one?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of R&B. I listened to it rather a lot, so Bobby Caldwell has shown up a lot in my plays of different R&B music, and his most notable song is "What You Won't Do for Love," which you've either heard by him or you've heard by somebody else, like Boyz II Men.
It's also been in a bunch of commercials.
Or Michael Bolton, yeah. So it's a super recognizable major hit for him. It's what most people know. But like Bobby Caldwell has an incredible breadth of work, very talented voice in the world of soul and R&B. It's sad he passed.
Yeah, I literally when I used to go to karaoke a lot, like that was a song I would sing like literally like once a week, every week. He's a white man. You wouldn't know it by listening to him.
No, God, no.
I grew up thinking he was, man, this is a soulful black man, and he is just like the deepest like Morgan Freeman voice white man you've ever heard. It's great, incredible talent.
So Sparks texted me about putting his name on the list and for the section, and I first asked him who this was. Of course, I said yes, I would include him, but I was just curious. And you told me to listen to the song, so immediately I turned on the song, and the first words I was like, oh, I've heard this.
Oh yeah, when I listened to the song as well, I was like, oh wow, I have heard the song before.
Yeah,
because it's very recognizable.
Yeah, it is. That's why I was very confident when I told you guys. I was like, just listen to this, you'll know who we're talking about. Yeah. A very well-known song, but not quite as well-known an artist. But Bobby Caldwell, legend in the world of R&B, and so just very sad that he's passed.
Before we get into the second one, I do want to address Mag's comment because he's in the chat here about Dragon Ball Super Superhero comparing the animation to Battle of the Super Sons. I will only push back because I think Dragon Ball Super Superhero does a lot more to stylize the 3D into a 2D space. There is some line work that is 2D. It is not quite the hybrid that we've seen with like Puss in Boots or something like that, but it is using 2D line work and physics, because Goku's hair specifically acts like it does in a 2D space and not a 3D space like we see it in the video games. Whereas Super Sons everything is very stagnant. Everything is moving in a 3D space. There is no kind of stylistic work happening to make it seem like it's to make the appearance of 2D. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so last thing about this, Lance Reddick passed away at the age of 60 due to natural causes. The only thing I could find, because this shocked me.
I didn't like 60 obviously is super young. Like I didn't know how young he was or sick. And like, yeah, I was trying to look like, well, how did this man pass? And like no information. And I'm like, people just sometimes pass away. That sucks. That's just like, what the hell? Dude, Lance Reddick. Like he's not he shows up in everything and you love him no matter what he's in. Yeah. And like you don't think like a guy like, you don't think like people, I don't know why I think this one hit me more than a lot of other people we talked about for some reason. And it's just because he's such a constant in whether it's John Wick or whether it's Destiny, or he shows up in so many video games because he got such a recognizable voice.
You saw him in Resident Evil.
He's in Resident Evil. He's the standout of that show. Maybe one of the only times he'll be like a lead in something. He's and like all the behind the scenes stuff. He's such a fun guy. He was on the Eric Andre show, and if you've ever watched any of his interviews, he's like the most insane person on the planet. And Lance Reddick redirected that energy, and he punched a hole in his desk. He was such a cool dude. Literally, like an hour before I found out, I was watching an interview with him about John Wick 4 that he just did the day before with Ian McShane, and I'm like, it's just, man, life's crazy sometimes. Like you just like,
yeah. Mag is in the chat. Talk about Lance saying could believe it either. He's surprised he was in Godzilla 1999 and in Godzilla vs. Kong. And even
who's he in Godzilla 98?
Ooh,
because I know he's in Godzilla vs. Kong, but most of his part was cut, and it still pisses me off.
It could be like just like that, where he's like a small part in 99, where it's like because he wasn't a bigger actor yet. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah,
I can't place it in my memory.
Yeah, but even Grayson brought up and said he's the voice of Thordak in the Cinder King in season 2 of Vox Machina.
Oh yeah.
He's also
major voice actor.
Yeah,
he's also because Grayson brought up his voice work specifically as I would assume a dragon. He plays a dragon in Dota, Dragon's Blood.
Oh,
one of the main villains.
Yeah, Max said his.
No, he doesn't. I'm sorry, that's Keith David.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm glad. Good.
Yeah, Max saying he was a soldier in Godzilla 98.
Just an extra.
That. Yeah, but I mean, this absolutely sucks because 60, that is very young, and not only that, apparently, according to people on social media, he was playing Destiny 2 the day before he passed away, and because of course he was a big voice actor in Destiny 2, a lot of players there have been photos and videos circulating online of players paying their respects to him or to his character in the game, and honestly, it's sad, but it's a beautiful scene when you see a bunch of players just come together and pay tribute to a really good voice actor, to a really good character in that game.
Yeah.
Sparks, do you want to add anything?
Huh? Sorry.
Do you want to add anything, Sparks?
Yeah, I mean, Lance Reddick is incredible. I tweeted about this, but like it bothers me to an extent that like Lance Reddick I think is exceptional, but Lance Reddick I always felt like didn't get a turn in the A-list circle that he should have.
Yeah.
And I not that necessarily would have happened if he stayed alive for the next decade or so, but like it's a shame. Because I think like when I come home and I tell my mom and my wife that Lance Reddick passed away, they should know who he is without me having to explain or show a picture or something. And I just think he deserved that.
He definitely like there are a bunch of actors who like I agree like again like in Resident Evil he is basically like the leading man of that show, but like there are people who just operate like, man, these guys are great character actors, and like there are people who like operate like surgical actors. We're like, we need this character actor for this part, and like Lance Reddick is one of those dudes. You know what I mean? Like when he shows up in a thing, like you know that dude's gonna deliver. You're always excited to see him. There's so many like great like actors like that who like I love. Like, oh, that dude showed up. Hell yeah.
And it sucks where John Wick Chapter 4 comes out this coming week.
Yeah,
and he's in it, and I know that 60 is both kind of old and young. It's really not an age that a lot of people die at these days.
Yeah.
but still, like, I don't know, and he wasn't sick as far as anyone can tell, and there was he just died, and like that's why it shocked me so much. Like I didn't believe it at first, and I texted you guys the moment I saw it because honestly, because I didn't believe it. Like this had to be fake because there's no way Lance Reddick just died. He's that doesn't happen.
Yeah, again, like I was searching for it, and like I thought it was gonna be like an accident or something. I'm like, I couldn't find anything. I'm like, man, sometimes your body hates you, and it's like, no, today's the day, bro. It's a heart attack time. Like this, like shit, like that just happens, like because we're so feeble. We're just meat sacks, man.
It really sucks. I love him and everything I've seen him in. This sucks.
Yeah. Everything I've ever heard or seen Lance Reddick in, I've always enjoyed him. So it is truly devastating.
We get to talk about how dope he is next week, though.
There's just, to me, there's no Concierge Continental without him. So, you know,
that show.
Well, that show is apparently set 40 years prior. So we probably weren't seeing him anyway.
I don't remember that. That's awesome.
I just learned that because I was looking it up to see if he was supposed to be a part of it, because I was like, you know, did they film him? If they didn't film him, don't make that show.
Young Ian McShane.
So we probably, but there's still like ideas that we would have seen him at some point. I don't know. We'll see. But it feels like that should have been a place for him to shine. Anyway, I look forward to seeing him in John Wick Chapter 4 and wherever else he might still have appearances that haven't released. But like,
I bet he's got like 12 things in the can, because that dude, you know, being like a character actor, you can show up in so many more things than when you're leading it. Yeah.
Oh my God, Mag! Oh my God, you're right. No, he was just cast as Zeus in the Percy Jackson Disney Plus series.
Yep.
Yeah.
So he'll be in that first season, man.
Did they film that already?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Season 1's wrapped.
Yeah, I saw like there's behind the scenes of him with like on his Zeus chair on set and stuff. Oh yeah.
Yeah, we heard about his casting, I think closer to when the show wrapped than before. Sparks, you've read beyond the first book. I have not. Yeah. Does Zeus play a role in the later books?
I mean, yeah, Zeus shows up. You know, like he's not. I won't say he's ever like super important. Like as an idea, but as a actual character you're spending time with, like. You know, people will talk more about Zeus and like what's going on with Zeus than they will actually see him in the books.
His presence is more important.
So, but he does show up more in the books, especially when we get into, if they ever went this far, which I don't think they will with the live action shows, but if they went into the next part of the story, would post the Percy Jackson books into the Heroes of Olympus series, that's where the Greek gods are being kind of infected by their Roman personas. Ooh. And so they're literally like split personalities are taking over, but they're still them. So like that would be the actors playing a different version of themselves, like the version that the Romans crafted of the Greek gods. And then there's like a few specific gods who either didn't change a lot or literally didn't change at all. But like Zeus as Jupiter is a kind of a big problem in that section. But that, like I said, they probably never would get there anyway in live action.
Sure, but theoretically, recasting Zeus in the type of role that he plays later on, not a big deal.
Yeah, they probably would have to. I think I don't think they'd have to do it for a little while. I don't think he shows up again until book 4 or 5.
Sure,
it's been a while, but I don't think so.
Yeah, that sucks. We're going to be reeling from that for a while, I think.
Yeah, it's a big loss.
Yeah,
it just is.
Kind of feels in the same vein of like Anton Yelchin's death, honestly.
Yeah, to an extent. I mean, Anton Yelchin, I think, hurt harder because
he was so young.
And like you knew he was going to get big. And Lance Reddick had been in the career for a while, and like that's my thing, is like there's no guarantee he would have ever like hit the A-list status. And I'm not saying he even wanted that necessarily. He was probably perfectly happy with the career he had, and it's an incredible body of work. I don't mean to diminish it. I just think he deserved more recognition.
Yeah.
And like that one, like this story is about me, that everybody paid attention to.
It wasn't Resident Evil, unfortunately.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. DC Pride 2023 is upon us.
Oh, Jesus.
DC Comics, I should say, not DC. It's not a state. Capital,
Washington,
whatever.
District of Columbia.
Sure. Cool. So, DC Comics has announced the teams and the characters they're going to be writing for, plus a little bit about some of them, not all of them. So I'll read what I got. So first, Tim Drake and Connor Hawke are getting a series. Sorry, these are all short stories in this 80-page giant, or however long it's going to be. Sure. So Tim Drake and Connor Hawke are getting a story by Nadia Shamas and Bruca Jones on art, which will follow Tim Drake and Connor Hawke learning that there is nothing more awkward than reuniting with an old friend after you've both come out and one of you was indoctrinated by the League of Shadows for a while.
Was that Connor?
Probably Connor.
I'm not caught up. I didn't know. I knew Tim Drake. I didn't know Connor came out as well. Good for him.
Yeah, he's asexual, I think.
Asexual.
That happened, I think, around the time that not DC Rebirth. After that, New Frontier. That's New Frontier? One. The New Frontier book that had him come out as ace, I think.
Right on.
Circuit Breaker and The Flash of Earth 11 are getting a story by A.L. Kaplan. That's it. Circuit Breaker struggles to stifle his powers after the Flash of Earth 11 leaps out of the time stream and knocks them both into another dimension. That's the multiversity. Flash of Earth 11 is the multiversity Flash of the Queer Titans. That's not what they're called.
The Justice League Queer?
No, the one from a different universe where they're all... He's trans.
Okay.
They're trans. They're trans.
I don't know. What do you say? Light?
Circuit Breaker. I don't know who Circuit Breaker is.
I don't know who that is. I'm definitely not. I'm definitely got all the Marvel randos in my head. I don't know the DC ones, unfortunately.
Flash of Earth 11 was on the Justice League with John Kent and Yara Flora when they did the Future State Justice League. They were on that.
Oh, I like her outfit. I remember what her outfit. Yeah, okay, cool,
yeah.
Cool. Got it.
Midnighter Apollo and Alan Scott, Green Lantern, by Josh Trujillo.
Oh, he's great. He's a big Marvel guy. He did Wicked and Hulkling stuff.
Yeah, and Don. Oh, I've read that. That's pretty good. And Don Aguio. By the way, all queer creators, bisexual, gay, trans, all queer creators. Don't know what that one's about. Alan Scott keeps getting these short stories about how he's gay, and we're never getting that ongoing series. Oh, he's on Justice Society, written by Jeff Johns. I really wish that book wasn't happening.
Yeah.
That was definitely a monkey paw situation. I really want a Justice Society book. Okay, here. Oh, Jeff Johns.
Do we have anyone in this office who could write Justice Society? And there's 1,000 hands, but like Jeff Johns just rises.
Only I may do this.
Did you say Shazam?
Like Jeff Johns just like rises, like he kind of like ascends or levitates. He's like, I've been summoned.
Don't you want the man who wrote them already? No.
For 20 years.
Anyway. Ghostmaker and Catman versus Cannon and Saber. I don't know any of those. Oh, I know Catman.
Oh, Catman rules. Ghostmaker is a James Tynion new Batman creation.
Oh, yes, I know who that one is.
He's also cool. But also potentially Bruce Wayne's boyfriend. But that's not real. Just people wanted it.
Ogle. Yeah. Oh, sorry. And Cannon and Saber by Rex Ogle and Steven Sadowski. John Kent and John Constantine by Christopher Cantwell and Skylar Partridge.
What?
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Oh shit. Superman and Constantine? Oh, dude, Cantwell and Constantine makes so much sense. Oh yeah.
This one will be about this. I got actually a plot about this. John Kent gets a comprehensive course in dark magic when John Constantine sicks a golem on him.
Don't you hate that? Ben, don't you hate when you get a golem sticked on you?
Yeah.
Natasha Irons and Nubia by Mildred Louise. Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, and Crush by Leah Williams and Paulina Ganuccio.
Hell yeah. People seem to really like Crush, who is Lobo's daughter.
Yeah.
And I love Leah Williams. So that sounds like a fun team, all right.
This one will be about Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy go to extreme measures to get a little alone time, but there's nowhere on the planet Crush can't crash.
That sounds fun.
It does
sound
fun.
Great. These all sound cool, but like Leah Williams is like an X-Men writer, so like I'll pick anything up that she writes.
And then finally, Multiversity by Grant Morrison and Hayden Sherman.
I didn't hear about this. This is awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Is it Hayden Sherman from A Wasted Space? Hayden Sherman?
Yeah.
Holy shit. Hell yeah, bro. Hell yeah.
That's awesome.
We don't know who in the Multiversity, which it just says Multiversity. So
that's awesome. That's such a big book.
Yeah, really cool lineup of really awesome creators. I'm excited for this, actually. There will also be a 5-page preview of an upcoming Dreamers story by Nicole Maines and Rye Hickman.
Right on. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I saw that Nicole's getting that. That's awesome.
Love it.
So, as well as this book will be released in June. There will be 2 other books, one called the DC Book of Pride, which will be authored by Galaxy The Prettiest Star writer Jadzia Axelrod, and will illustrate the rich histories, fascinating origins, amazing superpowers, and key storylines of DC's leading queer superheroes and supervillains. Kind of an encyclopedia of queer heroes.
Sure. Yeah. Nice.
And then DC Pride Through the Years #1 will be a one-shot that's collecting a couple of stories. This is the thing that it says. I love this. Take a journey through over 30 years of fan-favorite LGBTQIA+ characters in the DC universe with this collection that not only remembers and celebrates landmark issues of days past, but also teases exciting new stories yet to come. We'll have The Flash #53 by William Messner Loebs and Greg LaRocque. So old Flash 53, old Flash. We'll see a villain turned hero, Pied Piper, coming out to his friend the Flash and helps thwart a dastardly villain. I didn't know that happened so long ago.
Look at that.
Detective Comics number 854 by Greg Rucka and J.H. Williams, which is the debut of Batwoman. It's her first It's her first issue on the Detective Comics run that Greg Rucka and J.H. Williams did before they were like, no, we're doing New 52 now. J.H. Williams, you can't marry them. I hate that. Anyway.
Maggie.
Supergirl number 19 by Steve Orlando, Vita Ayala, and Jamal Campbell, which tells the story of Lee Serrano, a non-binary teenager who befriends the Girl of Steel.
Yeah.
And we'll also include an all-new story by Tim Sheridan and Cian Tormey, featuring Alan Scott as Green Lantern, teasing exciting new stories that will light the way for Alan's next great adventure. Light the way.
Look at that. There's a story. Cian Tormey is an excellent, again, I know them from their Marvel work, but his art is awesome. So at least Alan's got some good art right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really hoping for more with Alan Scott. That's not Jeff Johns.
Sorry, I know you didn't like that.
Cool. But yeah, DC Pride, really strong DC Pride showing, I think, this year.
Yeah,
I think ever since they stepped it up a few years ago, they're like, they feel like they can't slack off and they don't have a good reason to because the book sells.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last year's Kevin Conroy book we talked about when he passed. That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was another one that was like, that one hurt. All right. Anyway.
Yeah.
We're getting older, guys.
Yeah, it's all.
Shut up. My beard isn't gray, it's blonde. Willow news.
Oh boy.
So initially it was reported that Willow was canceled after its first season. For those of you who don't know, this is the show on Disney Plus. Ben and I did a Fake Nerds watch on it. We both really liked it. Sparks, I know you started the show.
I did.
So
I don't have a lot to add to that.
Yeah. So we were really eager for a season 2, and then this report came out that it was canceled. This came out from Deadline. However, a couple days later, maybe even a day later, I think, Jonathan Kasdan, who is the showrunner for Willow, he came out and said, we have a script. We have scripts for season 2. They're really good. Disney and Lucasfilm are still really supportive of making a second season. All we did was release the actors from their contracts because it wasn't going to film this year. And it was unfair to keep them tied to this contract because of that.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I think it's wishful thinking, though.
I'll tell you what. That alone tells me I don't think Disney wants them to make another season.
So this came out. So Willow's second season being Willow not getting a second season also came out a couple of days after League of Their Own, and some people were making the case it's very strange that these sapphic shows are being canceled, kind of en masse. Willow is a fantasy story with a queer relationship at the center of it. The main character is queer. Her love interest is one of the main characters, and people really responded to that, and it's really unique for that to happen, especially in the fantasy space. So seeing it get canceled was kind of heartbreaking, and obviously it was heartbreaking for me because I really liked the show, and the show teased 3 seasons, and I wanted to see all 3 seasons.
Yep.
So I hope Kasdan is right. I hope that he's like, yeah, we're just not doing it this year. But it will come. And maybe it's like a League of Their Own situation where it's like, if you show your support now, Disney will be more inclined to do so.
Yeah.
But this does feel like Disney is, this Willow's not the first show Disney Plus is canceled. People are cutting down on their streaming shows, and Willow could be a casualty of it.
Yeah. I really hope not, because I love how, I don't want to say different, but Willow was a different type of show that you don't normally see on Disney Plus. It was a fun adventure show. I really enjoyed it. And what's giving me hope right now is that they did not say it was canceled outright. The fact that they just said it's not canceled, we're just taking a break. I mean, while that to me there's a little bit of hope, but at the same time, there is some writing on the wall, and the writing's not good. And I'm still upset because I don't want Willow to give a tease to what's to come, especially how that series or how that season ended, about how there's going to be more, because there's still a bunch of plot points in that show that aren't answered yet. And I hate it. And I just like, it's like you have an idea, you have a story that you want to go all the way through, and then this happens.
Could have been just too expensive.
Could have.
I mean, it is an expensive show.
It is. I completely understand it is an expensive show, but
yeah, there's notably a big budget difference between, like, I'm not saying that it's not right or fair to point out these similarities of, like, the queer representation shows that get canceled, because it's not a trend that's new, but especially with specifically with female queer characters at the front over male. The list is large.
Motherland,
Fort Salem, Legends of Tomorrow. So anyway, but I do think that it is, it is notable that the cost of the show is high, and if they don't have viewership, that's a problem. And I also, like you, I read the thing, and I'm encouraged to believe that there is a path for them to finish the story. Might not be 3 seasons, might have to just be a second one, and that's it.
Yeah.
Or if not a show, then maybe they end up getting a comic, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But like, I hope. It does seem more like what I read in what they said is more like Lucasfilm's very like, yeah, and Disney's more like,
I mean, look at this. Like, this is also Bob Iger has talked about, less streaming as far as it goes to, like, they want to like do less when it comes to the Marvel stuff, and this could just be a casualty of, maybe the same cancellations that we saw with the Big Shot or Mighty Ducks Game Changers. This could be just like cutting costs because streaming shows aren't getting the money that were.
Yeah, this is like it's the streaming bubble folding in on itself to an extent, because what's happening is that viewership numbers don't equate money coming in.
Yes.
Because you are already a subscriber if you're watching it.
Yes.
The thing is, are these shows getting new subscribers because they don't have another way to get money and revenue from the things they create because they don't have ads?
Yeah.
Right. Unless they are a thing that does have ads, then they get a percentage benefit from that. But if they don't, then they're not getting the revenue that way. So, like, I don't think that, like, if they have a good subscriber base, then they're okay, but they have to be more selective with what they put out. This is less of a Disney Plus problem, I think, than it is like Netflix is certainly a big one, where like you're pumping out a lot of content that, like, do you really need to spend the money on all of this content? Is that really benefiting you? Or should you be putting out less at a higher grade of quality so more people want to watch the less that you put out?
The answer is yes.
And that's a general rule of thumb that's probably true, and that, maybe it does need to slow down. Maybe there is just too much content out there that, like, frankly, like, that's true. There is too much content out there.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of things I want to watch. I can't watch them all when they come out.
And now we're at a point,
and like, I'm being expected to, or I don't care about it. And I'm like, that's just not realistic.
And in the year of our Lord 2023, we're now at the point where all of the streaming services have really good shows to watch. you know, like when Apple first came out, like I didn't need to watch Jason Momoa's show where he's blind or whatever, right? Like Peacock, I didn't need to watch The Office, right? Like like all these streaming services.
Ryan Johnson's Poker Face is on Peacock.
Half the trailers we talk about now are either Apple or Peacock, and I'm like, all these shows just look like great television, like HBO quality shows.
Paramount Plus has Strange New Worlds and actually good Star Trek on.
So I'm like, it is impossible to like, there's just so much stuff. And I think unfortunately Willow just might have been too much money, not enough eyes, unfortunately.
To even add to what Apple is doing right now, they also got Tetris that's coming out at the end of the month. That's got me hook, line, and sinker.
I mean, God damn it, Ben's not going to let us forget about Tetris, guys. That is
no, he won't.
It's something he loves.
You know? No, but you're right. Like, I mean, like, you know, and the quality appears there. That's the thing, right? Like, it's been a while that Netflix has had something. It is in our trailers today, I believe, but it's been a while since Netflix has had something that looked appealing and quality level off the bat that wasn't already feeding into something Netflix established.
Yeah,
like a while ago.
You know, I just kind of on a personal note, I just want to say that Willow became a very deeply important show for me, and I don't expect anybody else to feel that way. Like, it was very much tailor-made for me in a way that I didn't expect, and I adored it. It will be on my top 10 at the end of the year, I believe. I really liked it, and if it is not getting another season, honestly, when I heard this news, my heart broke. Like, I was devastated, and I really hope it does. I really hope Kasdan is right, and that there could be a second season. And I don't want it as a comic. I want to see those actors.
Yeah. Well, man, it's like you gotta wait a year. So we're looking at already 2024. That's a TV show, so it's another year. We're not seeing the show for 3-4 years.
Yeah, I know. And like, so all those characters I fell in love with by the end of that show, and I just, you know, it'll be devastating if I don't get that second season, frankly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the other thing that's kind of like running incongruous to it is like, we did see some of the actors tweeting out that like, if the memo is, well, we have to release you right now, but we're hoping to bring you back. They didn't get that memo.
Yes,
as far as
because they're all sending love to each other, being like, "Hey, you know, we're gonna miss you." Blah blah blah. It's it very much felt final.
Yeah, they don't have the memo like expect to come back in a year.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And then dealing with schedules and stuff.
I appreciate wanting to keep hope alive, but I think there's a good chance that with enough. Certainly, at least in the sphere I've seen, like A League of Their Own demanded the attention that it seems to be getting. That might save it, but again, it's a lower cost show. If Willow can get that, Willow might get a second and final season. But I don't entirely believe that if they get renewed, that they're going to get renewed with a promise of a third. And I don't know that they'll risk it either.
Yeah, I think it could probably end it in one more season. I was surprised when they said 3. I was like, really?
Ambitious.
I literally at the end of that I was like, ambitious.
Yeah. Well, I hope so. I'd like to finish the show and then not have to be upset about there not being more.
Yeah.
So
yeah. All right. There's a rumor that came out from the John Rocha show that and I thought this would be fun because we've talked about this rumor before. Sacha Baron Cohen, we've heard, has been cast in Ironheart as Mephisto.
Yes.
So now we're hearing that there is a Halloween special, or just a special. It should be clarified. It wasn't specifically set Halloween. Sounds like it, though.
Well, relevant.
Yeah, for Sacha Baron Cohen to kind of star in as Mephisto.
Man, it's interesting that this came from the John Rocha show. Because that dude, I like that guy, but he's like smaller potato. So it's cool that he got a scoop, like this is a real scoop. The thing that like, if this is the second time we've heard that he's playing Mephisto, and like he might get a show, he is absolutely playing Mephisto in Ironheart. Like that is like we see him on set, like we know he's in that show in some capacity. If Marvel's crazy enough to have their holiday special be about the devil, hell yeah. We love Werewolf by Night. Doing that with Mephisto, who's all about like making deals for your souls, like ruining Peter Parker's life. Good shit. Love it. And Sacha Baron Cohen is so good. I love that dude, especially when he gets to play. It gets to have some venom to him. He's great. If this is true, hell yeah. I also like heard that there was an America Chavez Thanksgiving special happening, but I don't know about that one. So like, we will see Mr. John Rocha.
I'd watch that. On the condition that it has cameos galore because it's Thanksgiving and they all have to sit at a table.
Oh, bro, it's at Camertage with Wong because she's training with the wizards and stuff. Oh yeah. That's just a speculation.
Spider-Man and Captain America, Miss Marvel, they're all there just having dinner at the end. You can CGI them in. I don't care.
I wish.
All right.
Yeah, it'd be cool. It'll be interesting to see. I noticed you didn't have it, but you brought up Mephisto. So like, notably, the Disney Plus MCU shows are totally up in the air about when we're seeing them now.
Oh, you know what? I did see this. I didn't look too much into this, but like all the Disney Plus shows in the future, not just the Marvel ones, just say coming soon.
Yeah. So for like the recent Disney Plus promos, like for the year kind of thing, Secret Invasion has been scrubbed out.
Mm-hmm.
The release dates in the official sources where they had them that would say like 2023 fall 2023 coming soon 2023, all that has been cleansed to now say coming soon. So like all the Disney Plus MCU releases are now up in the air. We have no idea when anything's coming anymore.
Not just the MCU releases, but like Tiana and another show, I think also they all say coming soon.
Yeah.
So there's something interesting going on at Disney Plus, and it could be just Bob Iger doing quality control.
I was just literally about to say it sounds like quality control. Like, give these shows more time to breathe so people don't feel like they have to watch 3 shows at once.
I think that's part. Yeah, I think it's part of it is like maybe improve the quality of some shows, but I think it's also just space this shit out.
Yeah.
We want eyes on our channel when these shows are dropping, and we can't like put 3 things out at the same time or overlapping as much. Like it's just too much.
I just thought it was incredibly interesting. Not that it really affects each other, but like The Last of Us and Mandalorian were both on at the same time at one point. And I'm like, that's really funny that it's just,
and nobody talked about the Mandalorian for 2 weeks.
Yeah. And like the buzz on the Mandalorian is there's not really much buzz right now because half the time it was talking about the other Pedro Pascal show where he's a babysitter.
It's really interesting because like Secret Invasion especially was the surprise because that is coming this year.
Everybody assumed it was after Mando.
Yeah, and I think that like if it's quality control, I'm happy with that. And what we saw very much last year with like Miss Marvel coming out at the same time as Obi-Wan trumped that show. By the time you get to Moon Knight or later, nobody's watching anymore. Not at the numbers that they were when WandaVision was coming out.
Yeah.
So spacing them out, making them better, making sure that they're tighter, even like the polishing them, because I don't think you can probably re-edit Secret Invasion to be a different show at this point.
Make it tighter and like
you can make it tighter, you can polish it, and you can have this and you can drop it with enough space between certain things that it's not going to get lost. And I think that's probably smart.
Yeah, and like I still get excited for Marvel stuff, but I like it isn't the same as it used to be. Like when there wasn't one happening no matter what all the time, or there always wasn't a show on, or there next week it wasn't like there's not 4 movies and 4 shows, right? Like used to be like excited about like, oh, what's the next Marvel movie? Oh, it's 4 months away, cool. Now it's like, what's on tomorrow? What am I seeing next week? Like the hunger, you're always satisfying me, so I don't feel the need to want to come back as often. It feels like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. What's so interesting is that, before Ant-Man, nothing, and now after Ant-Man, we're still pretty far away from the next Marvel thing.
Yeah.
Guardians, I think, is what we know is next.
Yeah,
we got Loki sometime around
a little over a month and a half.
Yeah,
and so like it just I was just thinking about it, like it's been nice,
Loki's
just kind of.
Wait, Loki is too? I was like, that was summer.
No,
Damn.
it's at the coming soon.
Damn,
all of it.
No.
Loki's up in the air.
That was the new no.
So yeah, but like it's been nice just kind of having this reprieve from Marvel. Like it's been nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Doctor Who news.
Who are you?
There is a spin-off of Doctor Who already in the works, starring Kate Lethbridge-Stewart, who the actor Gemma Redgrave. She plays the daughter of Alistair Lethbridge-Stewart, the Doctor's best friend. And it's going to be centered around UNIT, the Doctor Who paramilitary United Nations organization. And yeah, that's the first new Russell T Davies spinoff we're getting from Doctor Who. I think that's kind of cool.
Come back, new people, new torches.
New torches.
More wood.
I really like Kate Stewart as a character. I think she is the most meaningful addition that Stephen Moffat made to the Doctor Who universe.
I think I know who this is. I'm going to look her up. Kate Stewart?
Yeah, Kate Stewart. I really like her. It was really smart to bring in the Brigadier's daughter.
Oh,
as
yeah.
Yeah.
Blonde lady who runs the thing. Yeah, she's cool.
Yeah.
I love her. Cool. That's awesome.
The actor who plays her is wonderful. The character is great. Again, bringing her back for a spinoff was a smart move in my
I'm into that, actually.
I think that's cool. I will admit that I get a little like, maybe just win over everyone on Doctor Who first.
True.
Like right now, maybe just get like the world back on board first.
Maybe they're just
then
that
make a
confident.
spinoff.
Yeah.
Because I just like the last spinoff did not go big at all for Doctor Who.
Class.
Yep.
Torchbark.
Class, which nobody talks about.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Exactly. It was a 1-season spinoff that like tangentially existed inside of Doctor Who.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember that. I think Davies is probably. I think you're right. There's some sort of like putting the buck before the horse, and you're saying like he remembers the heyday of Doctor Who, which he had 3 shows on the air with the Sarah Jane Adventures, Torchwood, and Doctor Who, and maybe he just kind of wants to get back to that.
And I wouldn't be shocked if maybe this new season is so good they're like, "You want to do something else with us? You're back, baby. You want to do more?" And sure, maybe he's just coming back to do all that stuff again.
We still got a long way to go until we see those new episodes too.
No, that's crazy. They teased it so early.
They really did. Okay, moving on. James Gunn has officially said that he is directing Superman Legacy. He's been poked and prodded enough, and he finally said, "Fine, I'll do it."
I really liked his like little Twitter thing about it.
Me too.
I didn't want to do it. I wanted somebody else to give that perspective, but I think the script's really great, and people want me to do it, and it would be a challenge for me because I usually don't make these type of movies. I make movies about like weirdos and like monsters. So to have your the first time his main character be like, "I'm Superman," that's your main character. It's like, damn, that's gonna be awesome. Because the thing about James Gunn, his movies are all about horror, but it's always with like weird people, like monsters and like raccoons and shit. Like Slither and Super, like those are like vigilantes with like mental they're crazy people, right? So this is gonna be a big new challenge. Again, his Superman movie Brightburn's about even Superman. He didn't direct it, but he wrote it. I think this is gonna be exciting, and it's gonna be like a challenge for him to do something a little different. I wonder
if his brother wrote it.
Say what?
He produced it. His brother wrote it.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Well, he's still, the gun family.
No, I think everyone. I think you're absolutely right. Like this will be a challenge for him that he even acknowledges, and he said that the thing that I always appreciate when a director is like, I didn't want to do this because I didn't have an in. I didn't know where I wanted to take this as a director, and then he figured it out, and that made him excited. And he was like, okay, I want to do this because I found my in. I'm excited about it, and I want to take it, and I want to tackle it. And I think that's enough to get me excited.
Yeah. And James Gunn is obviously like a writer as well, and other people have directed his writing, but like James Gunn directing his own writing is always the best,
right?
Because he knows what to do with his own dialogue, right? So this is really, really cool. We're getting a James Gunn written directed Superman is something I never could have possibly imagined in my life. It's insane. Writing even maybe, but directing, shit. No way, dude. That dude did Slither or Michael Rooker's a giant slug from outer space. He's doing Superman? Hell yeah.
I think he made a good post also explaining the importance of doing this for him related to his dad and all that stuff. So
yeah. Someone made the parallel that All-Star Superman kind of came out and is Grant Morrison dealing with the loss of their dad in a way, and they've said that they've used the imagery from All-Star Superman to promote this movie, which implies that there's some sort of inspiration there. And James Gunn, having lost his dad, now kind of taking that to the adaptation in a sense, could be really powerful.
And it's called Superman Legacy, right?
Yeah, there's this idea that it's dealing with the legacy of both sides of his two parents.
I love that.
So
love it.
We'll see. His two sets of parents.
Yeah. 2 Christmases.
This isn't going to win anybody who was out on James Gunn to the side now that he's directing this as well, but who gives a shit? James Gunn hasn't let me down so far.
Never.
Yeah. All right. The
Ben,
Penguin.
Oh. I thought he was directing it when it was first announced, to be perfectly honest.
That's funny.
So the fact that he straight up said
that was the whole thing.
Yeah,
because he was very specific when we talked about all the DC slate announcements. He said like, I'm writing it, but I'm not directing it. We're looking for a director for it.
Yeah, well, the fact that he's directing it, honestly, it's like, it's gonna be great. Like you guys said, he hasn't done any wrong when it comes to superhero films, be it Marvel or even. I know he only has one DC film being the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, but he's also got all of Peacemaker.
Yeah, he does have all of Peacemaker. You're absolutely right there. All of Peacemaker is freaking amazing. The Suicide Squad is a great, fantastic movie, and I have not been this hyped for a Superman movie in a very long time. So
that's a great point, Ben. Neither have I.
Yeah, it's true.
Real quick, let's respond to Grayson. What's on Apple TV, y'all? What's coming
Shut up.
No, that's a real thing.
No,
I know he's making fun of you for Tetris.
So, real quickly, so when you read like the articles that came out, because they had like a press release, they had like the press come in and be told what the chapter 1 is going to be before they release the video, so that the press can drop their articles at the same time. In the press room, apparently Peter Safran said, and we really want James to direct it, and James kind of visibly sighed, like, I'm tired of hearing about this.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, it's nice that he's doing it.
I do hope, and I don't think this is the case, but I hope he doesn't feel like he was bullied into it. I don't think it was, but I really hope there isn't even a little bit of like, they just really want me to do it.
I think that's the importance of like him talking about his dad stuff. Yeah. He feels like it's kind of a come to accept this challenge moment.
Yeah.
All right. So The Penguin, the TV series starring Colin. I'm never going to get it right. I'm never going to get it right. This is never going to happen.
Hey, Colin Firth has never been feral in his life. Colin Farrell was born feral. Arr, rawr, like he's feral.
All right, we'll see if that helps. So he they're filming
Ben
it now.
Confused.
Yeah, just keep going though.
So they're filming it now. We see him in his outfit. And they cast Theo Rossi in the role.
Shades from Luke Cage. Also other things. He's great.
He was Juice in Sons of Anarchy.
Also Sons of Anarchy, yes. I didn't finish that show, but yes.
He was random man number 2 at a party in Cloverfield.
Hell yeah, he was.
Hey, I love Shades.
He's cool. No, that dude is awesome. He's got a great presence. He's cool. Love it.
Especially seeing him go from Sons of Anarchy to Luke Cage, it was definitely a jump, because his character in Sons of Anarchy is much more different than his character in Luke Cage.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing him in Penguin. That's gonna be great.
The set photos from Penguin, the things they have Oswald Cobblepot wearing. It's like, you know what the Penguin looks like, but he's dressed like a cool dude. He's dressed like he's like in a sweater vest, and he's like, hey, look at me, I'm a cool guy, and he's got like a gut, and he's like, and I'm just like, oh my god, this is so funny. He looks so funny. I'm so excited for that show. It's like he looks like Tony Soprano, but he's the Penguin. It's incredible.
I'm really excited for that show.
Yeah.
Gladiator 2 has some casting news.
This is unbelievable.
Gladiator 2 is happening. Not the one we thought was happening.
I almost don't even care, because it should just be that one.
Denzel Washington is in talks, as well as Paul Mescal and Barry Keoghan. They're all in talks to star in Gladiator 2.
Interesting. I'll be honest, I honestly don't think I care about Gladiator 2 until I see like what the product is, because if it's not about Russell Crowe going to heaven and then being generals in every single war throughout time and history, where he fights like God and shit, and he meets Jesus Christ himself, then I'm honestly like, I don't know what more of that story I need. Gladiator is a perfect story the way it is. I don't know what else I need, to be honest. And if you're not getting crazy, but again, like a good trailer will sell me. Ridley Scott's the GOAT. Like, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, Ridley Scott seems to have faith in it. He's directing it, I believe. So
yeah,
he's never made a bad movie.
No. Yeah, this
all
is
the flashes.
Hey, look, like he had a year recently where he had a great movie and a not great movie. So like, who knows? It could go either way.
Which ones did he have recently?
It's hard.
The
Last Duel.
Last Duel and House of Gucci, same year.
House of
Gucci. Barely a month apart, honestly.
Yeah.
Last Duel, very good. House of Gucci.
Oh. Lady Gaga.
I saw House
Lady
of Gucci.
Gaga.
Oh God.
Am I the only one? Yep, I'm pretty sure I am the only one out of the four of us who saw that movie.
House of Gooch?
Yeah.
No, I'm gooched out. I can't do it.
Honestly, I didn't see either.
You and your infatuation with Jared Leto, man. You also went and saw Morbius. Look at you.
Yeah, at least I pirated it.
Did you hear that Everything Everywhere All at Once finally beat Morbius' box office?
I didn't know it didn't. That's good.
Me too. It was that re-release that did it.
It was. It's true. Thank you, Oscar.
Oh, jeez. No, I meant the re-release of Morbius.
Oh shit. They made they returned money to people.
We're sorry you saw this. Here you go.
Yeah, here's $20.
All right. Trailers.
All right.
Trailer park.
Beef.
Ooh.
Yeah.
This looks awesome.
This is the Netflix product I was referring to earlier. That looks actually like solid from the gut.
Steven Yeun, Ali Wong. The initial, it's like, okay, there's some road rage, and I'm like, oh, okay, like, is this gonna be like a rom-com? No.
They're out to destroy each other.
Oh my god! When she calls him, I'm like, I will destroy your entire life, and I'm like, is this over road rage? And then it's like an entire. I thought it was a movie. It's a TV show about just the destruction of these people's lives after a bad day in traffic. It reminds me of like Falling Down with two people, and it's a series where it's like one bad day just ruins both their lives, and now they're out to kill each other literally. She literally is like pointing a gun at the phone in front of her husband. Yes. Like it looks really
pissed
funny.
On my hardwood floor.
Yeah. Like I'm glad it doesn't. I don't think there's gonna be like a weird romance thing. It just looks like these people hate each other for a weird reason. And it's very like internal. Like they both are like people dealing with shit, obviously. So I'm like, this looks beefy.
Yeah, it does. It looks good. It looks like they're going hard on this. It's a A24 show, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Cool.
I honestly thought it was a movie. I didn't realize it was a show.
Yep, it's a A24 show coming out on Netflix.
Early reviews, because some people have seen it. They're saying it's good. So that's good.
Nice.
Joyride.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for Stephanie too.
Oh, I think I missed this one. Oops.
It looks like a fun, raucous, raunchy time. For all these ladies, I'm excited.
Here's the thing. I thought this movie was I'm really liking this movie. I'm having a good time with this trailer. It's really funny. The thing that killed me was honestly the last line. It's not a bop, and it's my asshole.
Yeah.
Killed me.
That was great. I thought it was even great when, like in the very beginning of the trailer, it's like, "Hey, can your daughter play with our daughter?" And she's adopted, and then it's like that little kid says something very racist, and she just punches him in the face and just says, "F you, mother."
Yeah. I'm getting a lot of Good Boys kind of energy. Not the exact same kind of movie, but like, yeah, we're gonna have a really fun time.
You're all
the same thing.
You're all drug mules now, bitches.
Yeah. So there's
I love
you didn't
K-pop.
see this one.
No, I did. I looked through all. I'm sorry, I missed it.
Yeah. No, it's okay. They are on a train, and Chinese police are coming through to check each area, and they are in the room with a white woman who has just a fart ton of drugs. And so she takes out a Coke and blows it on all of them. She's like, "You're all drug dealers." And so they all have to like scramble to get rid of the drugs.
That sounds all right.
So they're all eating like the pills.
And then they try to fake being K-pop stars.
I didn't see that. Yeah.
And so this has Stephanie Sue from Everything Everywhere All at Once. It looks really good.
Yeah. Good to hear.
I've been waiting for a full trailer for American Born Chinese, but did you guys see the trailer that was just, here's the Oscar nominees?
Yeah.
These guys are in
Oscar,
the show.
Oscar winners.
They're not in the show a lot, but they're in the show.
Drop it.
Because they also do because Michelle Yeoh and Ki-Hu Kwan who are in the show, and then and then special guest star Stephanie Sue's on the show once.
Hi, I'm in one episode.
They're like, hey, that movie that won all those awards, we put that cast in the show.
All right. Renfield had a TV spot. No, normally I don't do TV spots, but this was pretty cool.
Yeah. I love this.
I showed this to you.
You did.
Because I was just on Twitter and I saw it and I'm like, ooh, I love old school.
And I was like, we need to talk about this because the way they have faithfully both recreated footage and also used the old stock footage of Dracula's castle and then just slightly upgraded it and modified it. It's amazing. I've seen side-by-sides of like people talking about it. I'm like, man, they really did it. They really just like recaptured Dracula, and it's wild. I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled with the appreciation.
The side-by-sides of like they did the exact same lighting tricks, you know, to get like the light right on his eyes, you know, those old school methods.
Nick Cage is gonna be nuts.
Yeah, it just looks like this was like just like, you know, 30 seconds, but like it just looks like a really good time with Nicholas Hoult just, you know, just being a Renfield to Nick Cage's Dracula as you do, you know. Burns alive. Are you fine? Are you okay? No. Really good. Really fun.
That looked really good. It's a puppet, and it just
Yeah, like Wolverine regenerating,
like a Fright Night level.
Yeah,
effects. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Or reminded me a little bit of Dead Strange, Zombie Strange.
Sure. Yeah, it looks good.
Cool. Mrs. Davis.
Oh my god.
What the F is this show?
Damon Lindelof's new show.
Damon Lindelof. So this show, with just how insane it is either going to be like incredible or it's going to be like horrible.
Yeah.
Like I don't see this like a show that is taking this many big swings. It's either going to be like incredible, like Watchmen, or something like really terrible. It is a show about AI and it's like basically like taking over the world, and this one girl who I thought was Rebecca Ferguson, but it's not. It's Betty Gilpin. And I don't get actors confused. This is the one time where I'm like, oh damn, they look really similar. Oh man, English women, right? I think this looks awesome. I
didn't even know what the hell I was watching, to be perfectly honest, because while I was watching this trailer, I kept thinking about those promos. I was like, oh, she wants to talk to you. She wants to talk to you. I was like, what is this show about? And then I see this trailer, I get some form of story. I'm like,
what if Alexa is like an artificial intelligence that like wants to like take over your life to make your life better?
And like everyone in the world already listens to her, so it's just like constantly like all these people are like, hey, she wants to talk to you.
Yeah,
like everybody's plugged in.
They're basically, for all intents and purposes, zombies.
They're basically hooked up to a machine.
They're technological zombies.
It's just an AirPod essentially, but they are hooked up to a machine.
Yeah, and that is such a really cool modern way of doing like an infection.
Yeah.
It is. I think it's really brilliant, and that's why I hope the show is as good as it looks.
I initially saw promos for this, not really promos for this, but like people were sharing screenshots, and I was like, oh, it's a nun drama, because normally when I see a nun, it's either a drama or a horror movie. And I was like, okay, it's a nun drama or horror movie. And then like watching it through, it feels very tonally different than a Damon Lindelof story, which I really like. And it looks really funny. The actress, I can't, what was the name again?
Betty Gilpin.
Betty Gilpin looks like she's 100% committed to the story of just like, hey, I'm looking for the Grail, the Holy One.
Yeah, she's on a quest for the Holy Grail. For some, like it looks just like a complete bonkers. Like this is just a heightened realism, like weird world. Just like you have to just go with the flow with it. Where it just throws you in and it'll give you as much information as you need. I think this looks like such a big swing, and it just looks so fun. And I love Damon Lindelof, and like when that dude does swing and he hits, like we get Watchmen, and also Lost. Like Lost is a great show. It has like seasons that are weaker than others, but like that's also an incredible show.
The Leftovers.
Thank you, absolutely. Like the dude's more hits than misses. So like yeah, I hope the show is as cool and unique as it looks, and it's not just like nonsense. Yeah, because that's what it could be. It could just be like nonsense.
Sparks, anything you want to add to this?
No, he captured it pretty well. I echo everything he said.
Finally, Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken.
Brandon, I'm surprised that you almost missed this.
I didn't. I thought it looked terrible, and I took it off.
You thought it looked terrible?
Oh. I do. I do think it looks very bad.
Oh, I share the same sentiment. This was not a good trailer.
I will say I'm in the middle. Do you love it?
No, I don't love it.
Okay. I think it's a good trailer. I'm not in love with the trailer, but
you're just like about to be protective of my feelings.
Well, no, just like obviously I'm in the middle. Like I like this trailer.
Sure.
Like it's not. It doesn't look like Pixar quality to me. It does look like weaker DreamWorks in my opinion. But like
that's what I thought as well.
Yeah. But besides the animation, I think the idea itself is awesome. And making Ariel your villain. I wonder how mad Disney is that you're literally just have the Little Mermaid as your villain for this movie. I think that's awesome. Yeah. I think that's a really cool idea. And her being like a weird superhero, it's like weird superhero, like part Little Mermaid movie. Like I thought it was interesting enough.
while I do like the twist on how the Krakens are the good guys, the protectors of the ocean, and the mermaids are the villains, I don't know, just something about this trailer just seemed off, and it did not look good.
Well, Sparks, why did you want to add it?
I think just because it doesn't look like the best trailer doesn't mean that we don't talk. This is the usual stuff we talk about. I don't think it looks incredible by any means, but I do think it looks interesting. It's a interesting premise. I'm appealed to the animation style. Not as directly as I would be to, like, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish necessarily, but to the take on this Kraken stuff. I think there's potential here. Like, there's nothing that's immediately putting me off. I won't say there's also nothing that's like making me go, "Ooh, gotta see this one." But it's like,
I think the trailer itself, it's like structured in a like generic trailer way.
Yeah.
But I liked the stuff that I saw in it. So I'm hoping a second trailer can flesh it out instead of, like, here's just cutting random scenes together to try to tell the whole movie like poorly.
Yeah.
Just like, give me the vibe. Like, what's the vibe of this movie? That's what I want to know. Give me the vibe.
I think there's some interesting things in the trailer. Like, I like the idea of the Krakens being superheroes almost. And when the Little Mermaid is big, they do this really cool thing with her hair that is just water. I thought that looked really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the reason why I had such a negative reaction to it is because coming off of a year where DreamWorks crushed it, with only 2 movies, The Bad Guys and Puss in Boots, to see this kind of go back to where they were prior, because I think the animation looks very much like where DreamWorks was working with prior to this, prior to what they were doing last year. The story isn't really told to me in an interesting way within the trailer, so it felt very much like old DreamWorks to me. So because I was so excited coming out with DreamWorks, out of 2022 for DreamWorks, to see this be the first thing, I'm like, oh.
You know what?
Okay.
I will agree with that. I was surprised to see this with DreamWorks because I guess I shouldn't assume that every movie is going to look like Puss in Boots, because that's probably a really expensive ass movie to make, right? But like, it does feel like, this feels like a 2014 looking ass movie.
Well, it also probably was one they were working on where they didn't go for that style from the beginning. Like, they made different choices and different swings, and it just so happens that this one had to come out after the other 2.
Yeah.
Like, it might be one of the last, if not the last, that they make this way.
Yeah. That's true.
But I don't think that's necessarily, like, I don't think the animation looks like garbage either. It's not what we got last year. Brandon's correct, which stylistically is more appealing.
Yeah.
But I don't think it looks like trash. It's giving me like these Diary of a Wimpy Kid for a Girl story, like teenager story vibes, and I'm not against this.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
No.
All right.
Nope.
So we're going to go into our book club now, and then we'll move into our main topic after. No, it's Ben's turn to die on the podcast.
No.
All right, so it's my turn. I picked Superman and the Authority, written by Grant Morrison, Mikkel Janin, and let me get the other artists because there are some fill-in arts. Travel Foreman, Evan Cagle, and Fico Ossio.
Love it.
So this is Grant Morrison returning to write Superman, telling the story of Superman older, and he needs to put a team together for something. We don't know what initially. What do we think about this?
What do you think first? I want to, because I partially read this already before.
I really enjoyed it. I really like Grant Morrison writing Superman in general. This really kind of, look, it's not his best Superman work.
There. Well, it's also
there. Thank you.
Also a different Superman.
Yeah, and I think he writes a really
Superman that he's doing.
I think he writes a really interesting version of Superman in this, and I had a really good time with this one.
I think the characterization is great. This isn't a negative on the book. I just want to say this. Like, if you're someone who is interested in the Authority, this should not be your first book about the Authority, because one, they're barely in it. You should just read the Authority, because that's what those movies are going to be based off. But this is a cool idea of taking Superman, and like, what if Superman needed to bend his morals a little bit to save the world because the old ways didn't work? Almost like a Kingdom Come thing with Magog, right? My only real issue is I think this is fun. it being 4 issues, even if they're bigger issues, like it's just leading to another book. So like it felt just like I'm meeting characters. Nothing's actually happening.
Yeah,
there is the Ultra Humanite, who is, fun fact, who is Superman's very first villain. So it is fun to have the full circle thing. But I just think, also, I'll get into it later. This was 5G shit. A lot of this book got screwed over with 5G stuff, and I did a lot of reading behind the scenes because like this book's weird. I think it's a good book, but it's a weird book because it's 4 bigger issues that lead into another event by a different writer. And that wasn't originally going to be the thing because of 5G. So I think that hurts the book in just being a self-contained little thing because it's building to like a completely separate story by somebody else. But I think the story that we got, it's fun. I think, again, the characterization is really great. I love their Superman. They're older, a little more grizzled Superman. Again, like that's what I come to Grant Morrison for, is like great characterization, and I did get that.
Sparks, you're about to say something.
No, I agree with Ryan. Like, I think the characterization stuff is good, but when I was getting to the end of the 3rd issue and like, you know, the meat of the story, it felt like to me hadn't really taken off. I was like, oh, this is like not going to be the kind of title I thought it was. Like, I appreciate taking our time to meet these characters, and like Ryan makes a great point. Like, Grant Morrison's characterizations are super on point, but it didn't feel like a fully served story when it was all done. It felt like a prelude to another story, which is just kind of odd.
Ben?
Yeah, I do echo a lot of what both Ryan and Sparks said, but at the same time, I really enjoy it when Grant Morrison writes Superman, because almost every time I read a Grant Morrison Superman book, it gets weird. Like, shit goes weird.
Yeah.
And even like when I was trying to remember, like, obviously I've read All-Star Superman, but even when Morrison took over Action Comics in the New 52, that storyline was pretty weird, if I do say so myself.
The ending of that story is wild.
Yeah, I mean, they bring in a lot of concepts. They bring in a lot of batshit crazy ideas. Not that they're bad, but it's just they're really out there. So with Morrison writing this, it's like I'm glad to see Morrison writing Superman again. And also, I really like this idea, this older Superman. I love this grizzled Superman. I love the Kingdom Come emblem, but it's not all doom, gloom, and sad. This Superman is like, hey, I made a promise to John Kennedy. I wasn't there when he died, and my powers are fading. I'm getting older. Jack. I'm not the man I was before. I'm gonna need some help, and I realize I'm gonna have to bend the rules a little bit. Like when he's talking to Manchester Black, I love how Manchester's like constantly says, "I tried to kill you before," and Superman's like, "Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
that's fine."
I really like that first issue a lot. The setup of like him talking with Manchester Black and saying like, you know, I kind of have a feeling like you really want to do something, and I think I can provide kind of the guiding way for you to make some real change in the world, and I want to do that. I want to trust you to do that. But hey, you got to make a decision pretty quick because like some fan zone people are about to come out, and like I could really use your help dealing with that. Mm-hmm. And just like banking on like, but it's really ultimately your decision, and I really enjoyed all of that. I thought that was a lot of fun. I'm a fan of Manchester Black, so I really enjoyed that.
Hell yeah.
I will say I got really confused when after Apollo and Midnighter joined the team and they went to go to get the Enchantress. Mm-hmm. I thought that was just like an additive story at the end of it. I didn't think that was like part of it, so I actually skipped through. It was like, is this part of the story? Oh, okay, there they are. Yeah, it is. So I had to go skip back and start reading it because, like I said, there are times where Grant Morrison likes to get weird. They throw you curveballs. You think they're going right, they actually go left. So it was a bit of a trip, but at the same time, I do enjoy it. I do think that I'm not the biggest fan of like a whole, it's a prelude to another thing, but all in all, I still think this is a good Superman story. And I didn't know that this year was Superman's 85th anniversary. So I'm glad that we are we're reading a Superman book this year, because I'm like, I want to read more Superman, and here we go.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I think Grant Morrison is so punny, and like I think the funniest that this issue gets is the Natasha Iron stuff where the AI becomes alive, and then she's fighting like actual like digital trolls, like internet trolls, which happens in Moon Girl Devil Dinosaur, the Edgelord Supremes, and I'm like,
and she's like, this is all just bullshit.
Yeah, I thought that stuff was really, really funny. I think like at all the character introductions and the villains that they face and like the story. Again, like I loved all this stuff, but like it kind of just ends then. Like this feels like the first half of an arc. And then again, like there was supposed to be more of this book, and 5G didn't happen. Damn
you, 5G.
I also want to make a quick note too, like, because you were bringing up the punny and like there's that stuff, like what you just gave an example of work. There was a little bit of too much, like I didn't feel like it was serving the story. I felt like it was just like just dropping in terms that are current that felt like, I don't know why that this really needs to be here, like talking about the concept of like really hitting at like gonna get canceled and these kinds of things. I'm like, these feel like just like hitting hot buttons right now that I don't know that they're really belonging in the story, other than to like say this is like a very modern tale.
Yeah.
So yeah, you guys are 100% right. I said this book was fun, but I have a couple big problems with it. One of them is that it's a prelude to Philip Kennedy Johnson's Action Comics War World saga. That's a huge problem for me because it doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't. That is not an old Superman. That is the normal Superman. And then at the end of it, they just got to be like, oh, then he puts on his old suit again, and that's what happens. And so we're just gonna do it like that.
To be fair to that book, he does have the white sideburns. So
sure, I don't care. Sure, I don't care though, because like here's what I'm trying to say, Brian. The reason why it bugs me so much is because this is an older, grizzled Superman where his powers are draining, his powers are no longer there.
Yes,
and that's not the current Superman. That's just not.
It is on Warworld. Yes, it is.
But he's on Earth, and he's losing his powers. But he's losing his powers on Earth.
Yeah.
But when he comes back to Earth after Warworld, I've read that issue. He has his powers.
Yeah, that is unfortunate, and he
can't fly in this book.
Yeah, he can levitate though. That keeps him on his toes.
That was weird because like when I start the book, I'm like, oh, this is like a like it feels like setup of an Elseworlds.
Yes,
that's what I'm trying to say.
And then when you get to the end and it's like follow the story in Action Comics, and I'm like, but this isn't Superman right now.
All right, so let me read this quote. From someone, this story is a bastard child of the remnants of 5G. The DC universe was supposed to have been compressed with Superman coming out of the scene in 1938 and aging naturally. That's why this feels so confusing, because this was a different universe that never happened. And then they just retconned it into the new Rebirth stuff, or whatever the new stuff is called.
And then they just did it.
And then they eventually were like, don't worry about the 5G stuff.
And here's the thing: Grant Morrison has had to handle continuity stuff going on in other books before. With his Justice League run, when Superman was split into red and blue, he didn't write the book any differently. He just had the artist make Superman red and blue whenever that was the version. And so I'm so sorry, fucking shit. So the whole thing of like this idea that he had to deal with this continuity has been done better in a book that he wrote. And so to kind of go into the idea of like this, to make the excuse that this was supposed to be 5G, if this was going to be so sloppily thrown together at the end to be like, actually, this is fine, don't release it. Frankly, don't release it.
No, I am with you. And they salvaged this book, and like, it's a thing of like, yo, do you not release a new Superman Grant Morrison book out, even if it's not that good? And like, it is a good book. It's not that it's good. No, it is a good book. It's incomplete. And again, like, do you either like the stages are being already set for so much stuff, like you just can't reverse it. And like, unfortunately, we didn't want this to happen to Grant Morrison. We're like one of their books.
And I'm not making any arguments against Grant Morrison. This is purely on an editorial, and I'm not even attacking Ryan, but I know I'm really heated, and I don't mean to just throw that all on Ryan. That's not what I'm trying to do here. I'm just trying to say that like this is an Elseworlds book. Yeah, this is a 1,010% an Elseworlds book that at the very last page they decided wasn't.
Yeah, right. That's
that legitimately pisses me off.
No, I am with you. Yeah. I'm with you, and like I'm sure whatever Grant Morrison's plan was going to be, that probably pissed them. They were mad about it as well. Like they came back to write a new Superman in the Authority book, and like again, like Grant Morrison got to write the Authority for 2 issues, and then that book never happened. So this was them coming back to multiple characters that they've done in the past. So like I'm sure they were just as mad that all this shit happened.
I remember it being a big deal when like this announcement, came about that we were getting this, and like, well, what's this going to mean? Like we were seeing like the first look at the image that's on the front cover of Brandon's book there.
Yeah.
And like, oh, this is going to be something like, and then the buzz kind of died around that. And now that we've read it, it's clear to understand why. It's because like, this is good foundation stuff. It just doesn't go all the way through. And like, there's a lot of elements I really like in it. Like, it's not a bad book at all.
Yeah.
It's just cut out at the knees.
Yeah. It's so interesting that I wonder if I can find an interview that they did where like, where was this going to go? Because like they introduced 2 members of the Authority, Apollo and Midnighter, right? They're from the original run. Other people like Manchester Black came like very later on in like the 4th or 5th volume incarnation, right? But like the original team, only 2 of those people are on that team. So I'm very curious. Like they mention other characters, they mention Jenny and John and like all those other people like by name. So I'm like, and they show and the bad guys, the evil Authority with like the Nazi dude. Like I'm just like, man, like what were you setting up? Because like I did like it.
It's not even just like the Superman getting old stuff. That's like clearly it's an Elseworlds thing. It's also like this concept, this baked in concept that like the Justice League have all aged up, and they failed, and like this is on the new generation now, and like it paints a picture of like an Elseworld that I want more out of.
It's when I learned that's what 5G was. It was all my legacy heroes becoming the heroes that I realized that is what I wanted, and they didn't give it to me. They're kind of even to me with Teen Titans now, though, a little bit.
The couple more things I want to say about that, and then I want to move on to something positive because like I there are things I like about this book quite a bit. But Light Ray, who as far as I know is a new character for this book.
I think it's a gender change.
If she was introduced in something else, I haven't read it. This was my first exposure to her. I like her with a little we get of it, and it feels like. Like even if this book had ended with not the end, like it like teased something more like Multiversity does, then I would have been fine with it. But the fact that it says go to Action Comics for the Warworld saga and then has this bullshit ass page in the end here of him putting on his normal Superman clothes. And then the Light Ray is thing. I like that's fine. Like, but like the Superman thing just ticks me off.
No, I get you. Light Ray is a New Gods character from the 70s. They also appeared in Mr. Miracle, Tom King's Mr. Miracle. Like not a very big DC character, but like it makes sense for them to show up to do New God stuff. And like that was one of the most interesting things for me is seeing Light Ray because that means that like they're posing Light Ray to be like the opposite of Darkseid. And that is really cool. And I don't know if any of that actually gets touched on. And I'm into that idea.
Yeah.
Him having a part of the Source Wall? What? Yeah. That's awesome.
I'm into that too.
Yeah.
I think another part of it is just like, the lamentation of not exploring this world more is I find it really fascinating to have this Superman who's like not dour, but open to admitting, we kind of dropped the ball because we thought we were winning.
Yeah.
And like I appreciate this because usually when we acknowledge that like failures have occurred and like we're dealing with an old Superman, it's a Superman who's very depressed about it.
Yeah.
And I like that this is a Superman who's like, I still think there's a chance to turn it around and that I can still find a way to make a better world before I'm done. And I like that idea a lot. And I like the idea of a world where that Superman has had to kind of come to be, and the way that he's coming to be about it is he's like, I see the potential for you desiring to make the world a better place inside of all the things you've ever done, Manchester Black and things like that. Here's an opportunity where we can do that together. And I think that plays really, really well. So it is a shame to like not have that full concept explored to its final conclusion.
Yeah.
You mentioned already, but I did really enjoy that Ultra Humanite is the villain in this book. They being the first Superman villain.
Beefed up by Brainiac.
Yeah, Brainiac's. I like Brainiac's stupid little suit.
You know what? I love the. I don't know. I'm sure there's been a Superman story that's either gotten close or done this well, but I really do like what Grant Morrison does here in the last issue with the idea of Superman and Brainiac not in the same location and kind of squaring each other off. And it's like, and I put these pawns here, and he's like, Brainiac, please come on. I saw that. That's why I put. XYZ over here.
Yeah.
Like, I've caught you at every angle. Like, we were playing chess and I'm done and I'm walking away from the game table. Like, F you, we are done. And I really like that too. That vibe is really tight.
It's this line that Lois says, that felt a whole lot like trying to convince a chess grandmaster you've been playing by the rules of backgammon all along.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that really plays, and it's a lot of fun that he's like, yeah, I've assembled this team in such a way where like you totally didn't even have a shot. I predicted you at every move.
Yeah.
And I thought that was fun. Specifically, I want to talk about in the Enchantress issue. I really like this whole idea where Superman's saying like, so you're saying you want to get rid of good.
This is so
good.
Good
will never be there. And if good isn't there, then you'll feel good.
Wait.
Oh, no. And I really enjoyed Superman out-logicking.
Yeah, it's like
that. I thought that was a lot of fun.
Dormammu shit.
That's one of the things I really like about Grant Morrison's Superman is that he doesn't forget that Superman is also really intelligent.
Yeah.
He's a really smart guy. He's not as smart as Batman, but like there's different ways of being intelligent, and because his brain works so fast, that he's able to do things like that. And I like that a lot of
it faster. Yeah.
Yeah, and I like that a lot of this isn't Superman in a battle of fists; it's a battle of wills.
Yeah, that's a great point, Brandon, because that's basically all this Superman is set up to do, is just kind of like have outthought everyone. He's like, Ultra Humanite, you're the one thing I just didn't see was totally on the board, but it doesn't matter because I got you.
Yeah.
I really like the threat, even though like Superman's like, nah, you ain't gonna. But of Ultra Humanite saying like, I'm gonna wear your son's face and all that stuff. I think that's very vicious and cool, and in Solomon Grundy's body.
This made me laugh. Curious. I've created several lifelike effigies of my persistent enemies: Luthor, Brainiac, Parasite, and Metallo Mongol, but I don't recall Solomon Grundy. Like, there's a Solomon Grundy, Ultra Human, just hanging, waiting for Superman is incredibly funny to me.
I think that was the funniest part about it is because, like, like by what Superman's saying that those effigies were there before, and then rather than standing in the line at the end, he moved Luthor over to make a space for himself.
Yeah. This book is very funny, I think, as well.
Yeah, Grant Morrison's humor is on display, which I really appreciate. I really enjoy the issue of them collecting the team members and Manchester and Superman kind of playing into their dynamic. My favorite one was Natasha. I think Grant Morrison has a really great voice for Natasha Irons. That made me fall in love with her immediately.
Yeah, I really like her. I like her suit design in this too.
Me too.
Also, I almost forgot to mention because I saved the page, but I really like when Manchester Black is messing with the soldiers at the beginning before Superman shows up, and like what they're seeing because they don't have the side block and all that stuff. I thought that page was really great.
Side block. Oh, it's also just like in Dragon Ball Super, there's a character named Goku Black. And so there's just a character who goes, "Oh my god, there he is, it's Black!" And I was like, just calling people Black, that's just weird to me. I think this book is just like just him being like silly and punny and just like, well, I love that Grant Morrison never shies away from like stupid comic booky phrases, and he's like, "Look, they're re-phantomizing Mr. Black. Thanks for the save." Like just cheesy, old school dialogue. I love that. I love that so much.
Superman always calls Manchester Mr. Black, which I thought was really fun. He's got the actual round table. I think the cast of characters that has been selected here are really fun and really interesting, and they play really well together.
Yeah.
And I am aware that they go into Philip Kennedy Johnson's run.
It does. I was already interested in reading that, but like honestly, like this makes me like want to dive in even sooner because like that run is liked by a lot of people. And Mikhail Janin does the art on some of those books too. So it is even though it is a shitty like what happened to that universe that never happened, we do get some continuation of it, even if it's not the same. And I do think that is something, you know.
I just think regardless of the 5G thing, you could have just made this its own Elseworlds book, and it's fine. You just quite literally you cut out one page of this, and it's still an Elseworlds book.
Yeah, just like a 4-issue. Hey, what if Superman, you know, was older and he needed the authority? Like it's just a fun little story.
We don't get in canon that Superman met JFK. Yeah, like that's something that Sparks said. Like the beginning of this is an Elseworlds book. It's just flat out just not in the universe because it's the Justice League have aged in real time.
Yeah, and again, like I love that concept so much, but it is weird when this is supposed to be an in-continuity book when clearly it's not.
Right.
Yeah.
When it can't work.
It can't. Literally, Superman wouldn't be born yet. Like that's the whole thing. Like it's weird. Yeah. I do think this book is really cool, Brandon. It is just a shame that like having learned about like should this book have even have come out? And like I think yes, because I think there is value in some of the character stuff, but like it is a weird. If somebody picks this up on their own, like I think that is a weird book to read on its own. I think.
Yeah. I really like Grant Morrison. I really like Grant Morrison's Superman specifically, and I really like how he writes the Superman a lot. It's unique to his others, to every other time he's written Superman, and I always appreciate that he evolves that. They evolve that that run. I want to point to Mikhail Janin's Superman concept designs in the back of this book, which I love, especially the white logo with white cape. Yeah. Love that look. Holy shit.
Yeah.
I'm so into this look.
Is an incredible artist. You read, like, I remember a crazy person, like 85 issues of Batman a couple years ago, and he did most of the art on that. That dude is sensational.
Yeah.
The artwork's incredible.
Yeah, it's great stuff. It is.
Okay. Anything else?
Anything else, Ben?
When y'all see the Authority in the movies, they're going to be much more violent than this book was.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, so Sparks, it's your book club next week. Do you know what it is?
I do. How do you guys feel about magical girls?
I am all about them. Do they involve moons?
No.
Okay.
We are reading a comic from Boom called Save Yourself. It's 4 issues.
Hell yeah.
And so we'll be reading that. It's not a series, it's a one-off. That is written...
Does it tie into a War World story that I have to...
No, it does not.
Okay,
it's written by Bones Leopard and art by Kelly and Nicole Matthews.
Bones?
Yep.
That's a dope. I want to name my kid Bones. It's a cool name.
Right.
So that's going to be our book club next week. Love it.
All right, so stay tuned for that. Now, as mentioned up top, these gentlemen are going to move into the review portion of this episode, the main topic, and I will bid you adieu.
Before you go, Brandon, you go, where can people find you on the internet?
Yeah.
Oh, gee willikers. BT McClure on Instagram and Twitter. I also write for CBR.com, KaijuRamaMedia.com, and AtomicGeekdom.com. Check me out. I'm everywhere. All right, guys. Have a good night. Have a good review. Enjoy yourselves.
Goodbye, my friend.
All right, y'all.
Welcome. To Shazam, Fury of the Gods review. Hi, Brandon. You're still there. I see you. We're here to talk about the newest DC cinematic universe, or not. Depends on who you ask, or what the post-credit scene you do or do not see. We're here to talk about the newest movie. I'll tell you first off, out of all the 4 of us, now 3 of us here, I like Shazam the least out of the group here. And I'm pleasant to say, I think this movie, it's a pretty good time. I'm not going to say it's life-changing. It's not a 10 out of 10, but it is a great time at the movies. It is what I want a comic book to be. You know, here's your mission statement. You do your mission statement. You got some good action scenes. You got some good comedy. It's a good time at the movies. How are you feeling about this one, Ben?
Honestly, I think I like the first one a little bit more.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. I was sitting on the Shazam Fury of the Gods for a little bit, and I also had a fun time with the movies, but at the same time, I was like, it's good. Pretty much, it's not like, I don't want to like bust out like how I felt about Black Adam. I was like, Black Adam's mid. Whereas this one is like, I mean, it's a little bit better than Black Adam, but still kind of the same range a little, at least for me.
Sure. I like it considerably more than Black Adam.
Yeah, I
also don't think it's that hard. So you know,
I mean, if you were to put a gun on my head and say, "Do you want to watch Black Adam or Shazam Fury of the Gods?" I pick Shazam Fury of the Gods every day of the week. I don't care. I'm not watching I don't want to watch Black Adam again.
Yeah, but this review won't get 10,000 views if you don't say mid.
Okay, it's mid.
There we go. 10K.
There. 10K views right now.
100K. Ooh, Sparks. How you feeling about the gods and their fury?
No, I was pretty positive on this.
Yeah.
I think it's like a better Joss Whedon's Justice League, right? Like the way you go to enjoy a comic book movie at the movie theaters. I think this is a
light
better,
and fluffy,
a better of that.
Yeah.
I think I also like Ben kind of like the first one more, mostly because I think the character stuff that's central, like Billy's arc in that film, is tighter than the character stuff we get in this one.
Who's Billy?
Billy Batson.
Oh, Billy Batson's in this movie?
Yeah, right, exactly. That's a great point of what I mean. Is
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
like,
no, yeah.
But Billy has a very clear arc that's, very tied to his mom and coming into the foster home.
Yes.
And I think that story is genuinely, like, kept clear at the heart, and, like, not only that, but, like, paralleled very well by the Dr. Savannah, who is a boy who was rejected and Billy's a boy who was accepted.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff. And I think that's all very well integrated into that film.
Mm-hmm.
And the character stuff here, I find a little more... Not that there isn't good stuff here. There is, but it's for certain characters, and it's very haphazardly placed throughout the film.
Yeah.
Mag's right. Taste Rainbow.
Yeah.
Got him good. Got me good, too.
Taste Rainbow got everyone good.
There are some really funny moments in this movie.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's the thing. Is, like, I laughed really hard at a lot of this movie in a way that I didn't anticipate.
Yeah, same.
And I was pretty impressed with that.
Yeah.
Particular, like, to be honest, to me, and I kind of wish the movie had just leaned into it more rather than felt, frankly, like, beholden to the stardom of Zachary Levi, which I think is part of it. But this kind of felt like it should have been Freddy's movie.
Dude,
to a large extent.
Oh my
because,
God.
like,
yeah.
The actor's killing it. The actor for Freddy.
Jack Dylan Glazer.
Yeah.
He's good in that first movie. This performance, I'm like, oh, this dude's really good.
And he's been good in a lot of movies. Like, we loved him in It.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not surprised he's been one of the most talented from that It cast.
Yeah.
So, like, him killing it
His
here,
charisma
he's only getting better.
Is off the charts in this movie. Man.
And he has some of the best laughs. I would argue he has the most clear arc for this film.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoyed it. And I think if you put a little bit more focus on Freddy, even if that is through the lens of Billy, like it's about Billy and Freddy. And I think they almost started that in the movie, like the rift between them.
Yeah.
And if they were both pulled more central into the character arc of the film, I think this film would be very, very solid.
I agree. And while I do enjoy that, there was a Shazamly, I do think having that many characters and not giving everybody the same amount of screen time, and sometimes, like, kids are depowered. So, like, why are you just hanging out, I guess, which is fine, I guess. Like, the whole depowering thing is interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I thought the villains were fun. They were fun. I really liked Helen Mirren. I thought Lucy Liu was really fun. She went to see her a little, maybe too hard. Maybe a little too hard.
I went into it, like, fearing Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu being very, like, paint by numbers villains.
Yes.
And very quickly, it becomes clear that Lucy Liu is unhinged.
Yes.
And Helen Mirren's going to have to reel her in.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, you've already given me more than I was anticipating. And these are both talented actors who know how to carry the weight of the material that they're being given.
Yes.
Also, making Helen Mirren monologue read that long, stupid letter
with all
is a 10 out of 10 cinema moment.
Yeah. With all the
I
errors.
goddamn loved it. Yeah, just, like, reading every error as she goes. I was like, this is killer. It's like, do we have any Gatorade? Do we have red?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Steve, secret MVP of the movie, that little pen, being funny without saying a word. Real great.
Did the pen just shrug?
Yeah.
I love that bit.
This is
no, like the.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Going on that monologue bit, she was. You gotta love when Helen Mirren is playing, like, this obviously this god who's thousands upon thousands of years old, and she's just reading this letter with a completely straight face, reading all the errors, and that just got me laughing. She's just like,
yeah,
what is this Gatorade?
Yeah, I thought that was really good. Like, Lucy Liu has some really good reaction moments, like that kind of thing. I think they're both pulling their weight plenty for this film.
Yeah.
I agree with Mag. I would have liked Mary to maybe get development too. I think that this movie, like, it should have been about Freddy and Billy, and then kind of Mary on the side of that as, like, the oldest, and, like, kind of recognizing that Billy's, as she does, like, it's not that it's not there, it's just not fully developed.
She's going to college.
Of her recognizing, no, she was stopped by Billy.
She's
from going to college.
She's studying for college.
Which frustrates her.
Yeah.
And it rightly should. And I think being present and, like, her analyzing Billy, and I think that should be more directly present on, like, she's like, you're pushing Freddy away by trying to keep him tight. And then why Billy has trouble saying mom, like, when they brought that up at the beginning of the movie, you knew that there was going to be a come around moment.
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
For me, because the kids have aged the amount of time they have since Shazam, and Billy's that much older, it didn't work for me to believe that he's he's just been so resistant to calling her mom this entire time. I'm like, why? Like it just doesn't fit. I agree with you, Mag. Mag's making that point, and I agree.
Yeah.
I felt like that was very forced and weird, and like you could have done the same amount of her reassuring him that they love him and he's family.
Yeah.
With him just being afraid that like when he hits the age he's gonna move out.
Yeah.
Regardless of like the him calling her mom or not thing. Like you just didn't need that beat.
There was definitely potential for a lot of really good character moments with like Billy's story or Billy's main motivation is to try to keep his family as together for as long as humanly possible, which causes the rift between him and Mary, causes a rift between him and Freddie, possibly causing a rift between him, Pedro, the yellow sister whose name I completely forgot,
Darla,
and
I
is
love
it Eugene?
her.
Eugene.
Is it Eugene? Yeah. Essentially, like the three of them is like, dude, you're trying too hard. Eventually, it's gonna happen, and we're gonna have to move on eventually. So the fact that wasn't really explored or there wasn't a lot of depth to it.
Yeah,
I would say is a little detriment. I mean, it's still there. The plot is still there. I just wish it went a little bit deeper. And also, when Billy calls Rosa and everyone else calls her mom, I would have liked that being another big subplot of Billy getting over the fact that his mom never wanted him in the first place.
Sure.
Like essentially saying like, because he accepted the kids as his family and he's loving hanging out with them. Freddie's his best friend, is also his brother, but he still has some traumatic stress he still has some trauma dealing with the fact that when he finally found his mom in the first movie, she straight up said, no, I don't want you in my life. That's why I left you there.
Yeah.
So he's scared to go through that. I think there could have been still a little bit more instead of, because what he says, bye Rosa, everyone else says mom. And then we get to that one part in the movie where he says, I love you too, mom. It's like, I don't want to say it did feel earned, but at the same time, it's like there could have been a little bit more. Just like, I mean, I know this is a superhero movie and it's about gods and ancient magic, but there still could have been some really good character development and character growth from Billy, and also seeing more of Billy as a kid instead of seeing Zachary Levi 90%.
The first movie, it's about like Shazam being a god, and that movie's full of heart. Like this movie does have heart. It's just like it's few and far between, as opposed to just being like a kind of like a big fun action movie, which I really like. But like, this movie does not have as much heart, or like you know, more like with Ant-Man. Like Ant-Man lost a lot of heart when it went to the Quantumania stuff. Like I don't know what I get rid of, because I really like all the villain stuff and like all the the fancy like monsters. That last act is so fun. I love last act, man.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that last act too. I don't know what could have. I don't want to say fixed it, because once again, I do like this movie, but I still feel that there could have been more with Billy and Rosa.
It's definitely one
Billy's
of those
like not in the movie.
It's definitely one of those movies where it falls on that line of like, it's bothersome because you see the potential to have been great, and instead it lands at good.
Yeah.
And it's clearly there, like a little bit more of something, some work here, some work there, would have made great. And it doesn't end up there. I'm of two minds about this, because the thing is, like, I love seeing the adult superhero cast. I think they're awesome. I also like seeing the kids. I think the kids are awesome.
Yeah.
They're still just as awesome as they were in the first one. But I like seeing the adult superheroes. But I'm like, there are scenes where I'm like, why are they in their powered up forms? And like, to me, what would have been more valuable is like, I don't mind Asher Angel not really being in the movie much, in the sense of like, I don't think he's very good.
I think that's why he's not in the movie.
So I don't mind that as much, but I think you could have created a story thing where like, when they're hanging out the Rock of Eternity, unless it's Eugene going through the doors and like actively doing something related to his powers, they're in their depowered kid forms, and all of them except for Billy. And Billy's staying in his Shazam form like it's a defense thing.
Yeah.
Like he no longer has confidence in being Billy, and that Billy belongs anymore. So like Shazam is how he's protecting himself. And I would have bought that, and I would have been like, yeah, he can be Zachary Levi more often than not.
Yeah.
But the rest of them, I'm like, why are they staying in that form? I think the only other person who would arguably have that case is Freddy, because Freddy doesn't need to walk on the cane when he's in his super form.
Yeah.
And so I'd be like, yeah, sure, him too. But
I understand Darla, because she's a little girl and she wants to feel like I'm a big strong lady.
Right. And you can make cases for all them. And I mean, like Pedro gets to be a very handsome buff dude.
Yeah.
And so like there's all these reasons for them to be in their powered forms. I just felt like it was pretty inconsistent of like, why are they powered now? Why are they not powered now?
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. The way that rolled down the line. Even though I liked seeing the adults as much as we did.
Yeah.
Because I really like that cast for this family. I think that's a good cast.
We got Rachel Zegler, who is the youngest 6,000-year-old
Anthea.
Anne. Again, talk about like, she is so talented, y'all. Oh my god, she's able to do so much like emoting with so little like actual character. Like she is really doing the most with like the little. Like I fully believe her love and like her friendship with Freddie, and like she might be 6,000 years old, but like humanity could teach her stuff. Like I bought all that stuff. I think she is so great in this movie. Again, like for just being like villainess.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was chuckling a little bit, like when she says, "I'm over 6,000 years old," and Freddie's like, "Oh," and then she kisses Freddie, and Victor's all like, "Okay, this is now very inappropriate."
Yeah. Are we okay with this?
Kind of feels really wrong now.
Yeah.
I really like that too. I think there's a lot of good stuff around her. I particularly like when she's having the conversation with him at their temple, and she says like, you protected me. Now, of course, I was about to turn their organs, rearrange their organs, but you didn't know that, so you were brave.
Hero.
She does a lot of, like, again, Freddie and her kind of dominate the corner of like a lot of the growth in the film that I think is done really well.
And again, like Jack is so good now.
And so much of Billy's character development stuff kind of gets sidelined.
It's funny because like I said, like the mission statement at the beginning of the movie is like, all right, I need to keep my family together. And then at the end of the movie, I tried to keep my family together. I held too tight. Sorry, guys. And it felt like a South Park thing where like they're just reassessing the thing that they said at the beginning. Like I felt like we need to write this in the script to make sure Billy's arc is complete. And I'm like, but is it?
It's a South Park moment of, I learned something today.
Yes. It kind of felt like it felt a little inorganic.
Well, because like it's because like it's not just that it's very clear from the beginning of the movie. It's that people are literally saying that to Billy. And then nothing really happens to make him listen to that more necessarily. They are just challenged in the way that they are going, like some of them are going to be losing their powers and stuff. And so he decides like, yeah, my bad. But like, it's not direct. Those ideas don't directly correlate to each other.
Yeah.
Like Billy should have just known. And now he's just willing to admit that was the case. Yeah. Anyway.
Let's talk about the wizard.
I'm so glad Jumon Hansu was in this so much more.
He's so good.
I had such a blast watching him.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Dude, I will never forget in my entire life seeing the Wonder Woman's back and then turning and it's his face on her body.
I wasn't prepared for that. That's really funny.
Whoa, the laugh I gave out. Oh my god.
I was thinking, it's like, did they seriously get Gal Gadot in this movie? I mean, spoilers, they eventually did. Yeah. But like the whole back, it's like kind of like in like in Shazam 1 with Superman, where it's just like up to the neck. You don't see the face. So it's like, are they going to pull a Shazam 1? And then when she turns around and it's Jumon Hansu's head, I'm like, oh, that's great. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Love it. He's so good in this. And man, like David Sandberg, that dude directs horror movies. There's a lot of like horror shit in this. I mean, the first one had it too, but like this one, man, like, the wizard pulls like a splinter. Oh my gosh, yeah. And then if you follow David Sandberg on Twitter, it's a prosthetic hand. It's a real thing that he pulls out of a fake hand. And he's like, "Yep, I got Jimon's hand right here." Like some really scary. Oh my god, I think my favorite scene in the movie is the zombie ear infection, where you whisper into someone's ear and then you become a zombie and go infect someone else. That's like my favorite version.
That's a really good inciting incident cold open for a comic book movie of them like storming into the place, taking the staff, and then turning the real turn for me is like the breaking down all the statues into dust and then turning everyone else into the statues.
They're now history.
And I was like, oh my god, that's pretty good.
It's not a problem I have with the movie, but like their powers are not really defined. Like Helen Mirren can just do like whatever,
change elements.
I guess that's okay, that's fair. But like I feel like, well, no, actually, let me think about it. She's only doing element stuff. Okay, no, that's fine. We're fine. Because then, Lucy Liu's only doing weird chaos stuff with people's brains. She's just Wanda, evil Wanda.
Yeah.
Sorry. And then the other stuff that they do that isn't related to those are them using the staff.
Sorry, it is Anne I'm thinking of. Anne just does weird Doctor Strange shit where she's just shifting reality at a whim.
Yeah.
That is little too powerful. Maybe because like she can't stop these people. Like,
but she's just like literally rearranging planes, not like flipping in and out of reality.
I'm saying you're 6,000 years old.
Essentially, she could just go from one place to another place just by rearranging a whole bunch of stuff. And then, like, when she gets to that place, everything's back to where it was. But I do like how when the lightning bolt or when the staff bolt's coming at her, she escapes and she's like, oh, okay. And the bolt's still like, nope, still going right at her.
Well, especially in like the first part of that effect, you see it still coming as she's like stretching herself further and further away, which I thought was a good effect. I also like when it's used for comedy, like when she pulls them out of the dragon lair, and then they turn and they're like, huh. I think all that's done really well. God, Jimon Hansu, I really like him. I'm really glad he was paired with Freddy for a large chunk of the film. Jeff. He's like, I just said my whole name,
dude. I'm like, for real, like, Jack Dylan Glazer has so much personality. Like, when he's walking in the class and he just yells, Freddy!
I think honestly, you get to this one, and one of the things is like it made sense to cast him in the first one as Freddy because like you want a really good like young companion to Shazam and everything.
But now he outshines
but you get
the
to
lead.
this point, you're like, maybe he should have just been Billy.
Yeah,
but
like, I really like him.
But the other thing I think you run into with this one is also that just like, and it's specifically a problem with Billy because like the foster kids can be the foster kids, but like Billy was cast too old. I said this when the first Shazam came out. They were not helped by the fact that the pandemic happened, but Asher is so old now that I'm like, this just doesn't work. Especially when you have Mary over there being played by the same actress in both of her forms, which is supposed to kind of say that all of them are being played their older versions by the adult cast. And I'm like, well, Asher isn't becoming Zachary Levi anytime soon, my friends.
Nope.
Like, it's just not happening.
Yeah, and again, like, I understand, like, you make a good point of like him being defensive and like staying as Shazam, but like,
no, I'm saying that should have been more of the point. Of
yes,
they should have used that as a reason why he stays in the form.
Give me a reason you're doing that.
That's what I'm saying. Is that like that should have been there? I don't think that is there.
Yeah.
But I think that's something they could have utilized to explain like the presence of Zachary Levi so much, because like I get it. I would rather watch Zachary Levi than Asher Angel in this movie 110%.
Yeah.
Like that's true. But it is like odd to have so little Billy in the movie. And I see less of Billy in Zachary Levi's performance in this one than I did
100%. Like, again, like it's crazy to think that like Billy like only has it feels like a couple lines in this movie as opposed to like Zachary Levi, but like Zachary Levi's like I'm a young kid, I'm a super boy, you know what? Like I don't feel like that's what Billy is. I didn't feel that with
he's almost 18.
Yeah, he's like, no, that's a man. That's a man. Like it's gonna be funny going forward if just don't worry about the kid. Just don't. It's just Shazam. Don't worry about it. This movie, I mentioned some fantasy stuff that I really like, but this movie has a lot of actually really beautiful shots using like the tree. Just specifically when we first meet the dragon, and the first time we see the dragon is an incredible shot. Dude, with the wizard and shit. Oh my god, I loved it.
The dragon was really cool to see, and even when it comes out and you see how the dragon looks, because it's a guardian of a garden, so it kind of makes sense that it's made out of wood. But I do like how the dragon's design. It does look menacing and terrifying. It also looks something right out of Demon Souls or Dark Souls.
Yeah. And the other thing is, like, you know, we talked about this when we got to the first one, like, love the designs of the sins, but they were so colorless and bland.
Yes.
And here we have all these Greek monsters. Again, fantastic designs. They once again feel like old claymation ideas of what these Greek monsters would look like now brought to life again.
Yeah.
That is a lot of what it feels like we're seeing here. But these were so much more vibrant and colorful. Like, I love seeing all that. Oh my god.
The harpies?
When the manticore which is the first one to come out, comes out with its scorpion tail. And kudos to that extra of that woman, because she has the best like what like that I've ever seen an extra have to something like that.
She got stabbed.
These monsters look great. Yeah, like they really do.
The unicorns.
Mm-hmm. I have to say the unicorns, like when Steve was like, oh, they bow to the King of Beasts, and Jimon Hansu was like, the unicorn, and of course Darla's like, I love unicorns. He's like, no, unicorns suck. And like the whole Skittles thing, like how that came around, like where she gives Mary Skittles, and Skittles are in her pockets, and she throws her Skittle filled pants in the wash. I thought that was great, and how that comes around, and how she's like, this is the closest thing we have to ambrosia. It's probably is product placement, but at this point it's good product placement.
It's not probably. It is.
It is. It's fun product placement.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, Ben. The ambrosia bit is the thing that makes all the Skittles references that come before that work for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, they're all building that this is how Darla is about this, that she uses it for this, which is a specific plot beat.
Yep.
And I'm like, great. You made it all work.
Yeah.
Perfectly fine. Awesome.
Yeah.
Real quick for Mag, because Mag's leaving the comment.
Oh,
Still
yeah.
gotta finish the comic book that ties in the movie kind of, and it's written by the 6th member of the family. I totally forgot about that.
Is
Mag.
cool.
Yeah, that would be cool to check out.
Yeah, that's cool. Oh, David Sandberg talked about the suits. And this is really funny because this movie was supposed to come out after Flashpoint. And it came out before Flashpoint. And his thing was, well, I'm just gonna be honest. It was a new universe, and we just wanted to do new suits. And I was going to be like, yeah, this is what the suits look like in this universe the whole time. And it's like, new universe, new suits. That's all it was. It was like, you know, Flashpoint ends. Like, it's their new 52 suits in this new universe. And like, well, Flashpoint hasn't happened yet. So it's like, why does he have new suits? Don't worry about it. No big deal.
Honestly,
I don't like the metal. I think the metal is weird.
Or did it? Will they retroactively say this was post Flashpoint? Who knows?
I guess it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. I think the suits are weird.
To be perfectly honest, I didn't really catch that they were new suits. I was just
The
like,
lightning bolt is much higher.
And it glows.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll admit that I was thinking about it specifically on Zachary Levi. It doesn't bother me as much on the other family members.
It's
but
up there, dude.
On Zachary Levi, I was like, I liked where the bolt was placement wise on the previous.
It looks like he's wearing a tie, a big tie, especially like in our picture right here.
I love that we got the Captain Marvel reference.
Oh yeah, that was great.
yeah, me too.
What do they call them? Like over voltage or something?
Maximum voltage.
Maximum voltage. Yeah, that was a cute little callback with a guy he was talking to in the street. Oh, the thing
Captain Sandwich. Colonel Sandwich.
Colonel Sandwich. The thing that I really like, despite this movie having like big, technically like world-ending odds, like it takes place in the city of brotherly love. Like it doesn't feel like a giant movie, even though it is. You know what I mean?
Helps.
The dome thing really helps. I think that's why I like it.
And that felt natural.
Yeah.
It's getting moist in the city of brotherly love.
Yes. Yeah, this movie's funny, man. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, whereas it might be not, the plot's fine, the character stuff isn't as good, but like I think the action in the comedy is like really good.
Really solid.
It's really solid.
I do love the way that he gets all of the family members to go. I was like, boy, sure seems like a great day in Philadelphia.
Oh my god.
And then like the fiascos.
And then all the kids just go, ugh, really?
Yeah. Did your dad have super speed? Nope.
Yeah.
There's a lot of genuinely good comedy. I remember like one of the hot lines you and I like, for some reason it tickled both you and me, was when Freddie just screams his name at Rachel Ziegler like out of nowhere.
Freddie, it's my name.
It's my name. Got me.
I know this is a weird movie, like a weird thing to say, but like I like Jack Dylan Glazer so much in this movie. I'm like, I hope this dude becomes like a superstar. This dude has so much personality and charisma. And I know he's in it and stuff, but like I really hope like this helps his career. Because he's so good. And like it is kind of a shame that he's not like he isn't the lead. Because like he feels like the lead in this one. He's made it more than the other guy is.
I'll be honest with you, like something I kind of thought of early on in the film, like what the staff was going to do when it was first getting to that scene, they were going to nail down when Adam Brody's on the roof with the villains. My mind didn't leap to them losing their powers. My mind leapt to them getting separated. So the kids were going to have to interact with their adult superhero forms, and I'm like, oh man, that'd be kind of
that would be awesome.
Maybe another movie.
That's the next one.
But I thought that would have been pretty wild to see.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy the entire cast. I think Ross Butler is turning, like, we get so much more time with the adult superhero versions, and I think they're all just so well cast, and the kids are still like top notch. I also love the Pedro bit. Where they're like, it's time, no more secrets, and Pedro says like, I'm gay, and everyone's like, yeah, we know, bro, yeah, cool, love you.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I also just love how he
keeps getting struck by lightning.
That's the thing. That's because there's an earlier thing I check out, electrician, like, yeah, our house gets struck by lightning, like, oh yeah, it's because you got a bunch of kids.
And then of course when he does Shazam, and Victor's like, is that why our house gets hit by lightning?
Yeah.
I think again, like I love like all like the Minotaur and stuff, but like I think the final action scene like is really inventive and cool. Like using this staff as like a battery, basically doing a Majin Vegeta against Majin Buu.
I will say, I don't think that it's a plot point that's built up to quite as well as I wish in this movie. However, when thinking back to the first Shazam and kind of how the wizard kind of looks down on Billy when he still picks Billy, and that being the last indications he has from him before he dies, which I'm so glad they just decided like, no, he didn't. We're reviving him. Is Jimon Hansu. I really love this bit where Billy says, "You were right. You never should have picked me." And he's like, he has the whole speech where he's like, that you didn't hesitate to share your power with your family.
Yeah.
I was right to choose you.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a really good full circle and very counter narrative to the one that we got from the Wizard in Shazam.
Yeah.
That like, I like that they brought him back because it feels like it is for a full purpose to like give Billy the confidence of like, no, I was right. I shouldn't have made you feel like I was wrong.
I spent generations looking for the
because
champion.
In the first movie, it feels like Billy's chosen out of desperation rather than purpose.
Yeah.
And the wizard,
Destiny.
The wizard like really speaks to that. But like having him come back here and express directly like Billy's affection for his family is the reason why he's like, I know I was right.
Yeah.
I really like that. I think that bit is very, very good.
I do like the idea of like the wisdom of Solomon is actually like using your heart. I think that's like kind of cool because like Billy's not a smart kid.
Yeah,
he doesn't have the wisdom of Solo, man.
Oh, I love that bit where it's like the wisdom is like we're missing this one. It's like
Saruman. Yeah. The script. Oh, the script, because I brought it up the Sparks before, but this script was written by the guy who wrote the first one, but also by Chris Morgan, who is like one of the guys who did all the Fast and Furious movies. He wrote all those movies, and I'm like, there's some fun action shit happening here. I could see where his input was in here. Okay, yeah.
I also really appreciate that the majority of our third act battle stuff is in daytime.
Yes.
It's very vibrant, very colorful. I really like seeing it. I don't mind that the very last bit is in nighttime. I think it's still very clear to see, especially because of the glow powers of both Shazam and the dragon.
And all the lightning.
And so it's very clear what's happening. Like I don't feel lost or muddied. That is part of what really helps this movie. Is just like, it's just a lot of fun to look at.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the effects look good, and like David Sandberg is the guy who like he is a visual effects dude himself. So like, you know, like probably having extra time. Like I think this movie looks pretty good. It is a lower. It's it's not an Avengers level movie in terms of budget, but like it's a good looking movie. Like that bark dragon is awesome. Those harpies with their like white eyes, scared. Like man, when's the last time I saw a harpy in a movie? And it wasn't a superhero movie. Like what are you doing? I love it. Wonder Woman's in this movie. I don't know why. See, here's what I thought. Here's why I thought Wonder Woman was going to show up. They need nectar from the gods. They need ambrosia. Who is a god that you know? It's or you just come and resurrect the kid. I guess that I don't know.
So there was one thing where like that I'm not gonna. I don't care enough about this plot point to be upset about it, but they basically say that like, oh yeah, the tree here can be revitalized by a god, and I'm like, you literally had two gods standing right here. You mean they didn't need the seed? They just had to grab the staff and zap it with their god strength? Because that's really all she qualifies for, is that she comes as a god and she brings the life back to the tree.
Oh yeah,
with
she
the
does
staff. And so it's like, wait, so Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu could have just, they didn't need the seed. They could have just done this once they had the staff. And whatever. I'm not going to get that picky about that.
Yeah.
But like, it is something where I think it's great that she restores the power to the staff, resurrects the kid. Cool. I honestly thought they were going to do a thing where like we can bring him back, but only as his adult body. Like, I was
kind of hoping for that. That's what I kind of like. I was like, that's the stipulation here, like or whatever.
Like when he dies, I'm like, he's not going to stay dead, is he? And then like I do like the zombie bit where he like his hand busts through the ground and everyone's like, ah, and he's like, you guys buried me?
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell?
I will say, I knew he wasn't gonna die.
Yeah.
But
you have something in your teeth. That is a spider. I'm sorry. That's embarrassing.
That is so embarrassing. And she's like, it is. But you're a good kid or whatever. I didn't feel emotional when Billy died. I did feel emotional watching Freddy watch his friend die.
Yes,
because Freddy crying, screaming, no, we're supposed to be a team. Yo, there's a performance that you make me cry.
And I think if just like, again, their arc had been so much more central, like the two of them together and like the rift between them and the different ways they're trying to move forward with their lives. If that had been more central to the story of the film, then I think that beat would have hit a lot harder.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
That flaming violin that we don't know what it does. It's haunting them.
Oh, yeah, they just bring it.
Yeah, they bring it and distract them, and they're like, "What is that?" It's like it's a flaming violin. Who knows? Distraction.
Yeah,
and that I also even like when he distracts Lucy Liu, and he's like, "Ha, that's twice. I got you twice. I didn't even need flaming violin this time. Bye," and he just flies away.
I love when, I don't know if it's the first time or second time, but Billy has the staff. And he's like, "Cool," and he just throws it to someone else, and Lucy Liu just catches it. And I was like, "Billy, what?"
And he's like, "Oh man!" And then
Yeah.
the wizard's like to Freddy, like, "Your cane, Shazam!"
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's able to touch the staff with his cane, and that's enough.
Oh yeah, Adam Brody.
That moved really well and very quickly.
Yeah, Adam Brody, who was going to be the Flash in the original George Miller Justice League, who was going to be Wally West. Seeing him in this, I'm like, damn, he really would have been a good Flash. Yeah. That dude is really good. He's really
charming. It's so hard. Oh, it's so heavy. It's actually no problem.
Yeah.
That
was it, man.
Captain Every Power.
Oh God, Captain
Every Power Jr. That was pretty good.
That was pretty good. But again, like, God, if they just kept them a little more central instead of getting, I do feel like it's important to keep the villain plot like going in like present for them as a threat, but like it feels like we got a little lost in the weeds on like the core character stuff that should have been going on for Billy.
I think with how and I don't mean it's like really negatively, but how like simple our villains are, you could have lost some of their material to give more to our heroes, I think. Because like at the end of the day, there's like, oh, they're just doing a Man of Steel. Like they're going to bring their world to our world, right?
And I think honestly, you could have you give a second pass at the script. You could have done more with how Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu are rifting apart, and
just
how that
like
Freddy and Billy.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah. But it's not all the way there. It just feels like it needed to have like another pass on the script and like dig into like what is the central arc theme stuff for these characters, and you could have had something truly monumentously great.
Yeah.
Like even with that said, it's pretty good. It's a lot better than I was anticipating.
Yeah. The early buzz was like, hey, it's another superhero movie. It's fine. And I was like, okay, like, and I already, again, I'm the outlier.
But when you hear that, you're thinking Black Adam.
Yeah. So like, I guess my expectations were also low, but like, I do think this is, you know, it might not be as tight as like as quote unquote like a good movie as that first one, but I had a lot more fun with this movie.
There was a lot of fun.
There's a lot, like, this is a great theater experience, and this is one I would watch this one again because it's like I want to see Jimon Hunsu cut loose again, him get a haircut, looking all suave.
I do believe that the entire cast is having a good time.
Yeah.
And that helps a lot. Like whether it's the villains or our adult superheroes or the kids, I think everybody, or the parents, I think everybody is here and committing and having a great time. Even Zachary Levi, I think, like, even though I think there's some not quite consistencies of him portraying this older Billy.
Yeah.
I still think he's like giving a lot to it and committed.
I think I'm going to need another rewatch of this maybe when it comes out on HBO Max in a few months, because unfortunately my theater experience wasn't the best. There was there was a few small kids around where I was, but also there was a dude in front of me who was on his phone a lot.
I hate that.
Sure.
I was just like, he was right in front of me too, and I could have used my foot to kick his seat so he could. And when he brought his phone out at first, his wife or whoever he was with said, "Honey, put your phone away." But then he was going on it. If he would go on it, and my attention went, I'm just like,
it's hard in a dark room. Yeah. We brought it up a little bit earlier, but Mag is like surprised they brought the Manticore. Yeah. The second I saw Manticore, I looked over to Sparks. I'm like, yo, is that a Manticore?
Yeah.
I'm like, what are we doing with this Greek mythology monsters? I love it. And again, I think, Ben, I'm glad you didn't get spoiled, but Warner Brothers themselves have released TV spots for Shazam that spoil the Wonder Woman cameo. It's the line
we both knew before we went in.
Like, like not even on Twitter where like it was hard to miss. Like it was a YouTube ad that I couldn't skip for the first 5 seconds. You know how that happens? Wonder Woman is in those first 5 seconds. It's like, you know, like stay a hero, kid, or whatever her final line in the movie.
Wow, that's cool.
So I thought she was in the entire like last act or more significant role, as opposed to just being what you show me in the teaser. It was baffling, and I do think because Sparks told me like it's probably because like they're worried about this movie making money. I don't know how big the buzz is, and it made a decent amount, but it didn't make, you know.
I mean, it's like the same thing as like Henry Cavill being leaked that he's in Black Adam. Like they might not have put it in the trailer because it's frankly such a small moment. They would have just put the post-credit scene out there.
Yeah.
But like it's basically the same thing where they're saying like you're gonna want to see this because Henry Cavill's gonna be there.
Yeah, and I guess again like she's in that movie for literally 4 minutes, and I'm just like, man, like it wasn't even significant enough where like it didn't even bother me that I got spoiled.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was more surprised she showed up in the diner with Jimon Hansu's head.
That was so
that was so funny. Yeah. So
Jimon Hansu, I'm just so glad that he was in this. I think he gets to have more fun in this role than he's had for a while in his appearances. So like it was a blast to see that the dream sequence. I love when he comes back with his new fit at the end of the movie.
Haircut, soul patch.
Looking great.
And he's like, I'm going to go turn into ashes now. And everyone's like, what? He's like, I'm just kidding. I'm just going to go hang out in your world.
That's a joke. I'll see you later, Jeff.
Yeah. Yo, man. That's a funny movie. Do we have any final thoughts before we jump into some post-credits?
Not really.
Beautiful.
I do want to talk about
I think we've covered it pretty well. That just like, it's still quite good.
Yeah.
Just like there are clearly some notches where like you could have gotten it. You could have like almost really gotten some incredible character stuff going on here.
Yeah. Okay, so I was definitely surprised to see Hardcore and John Economos show up, because I'm like, man, we're just living in James Gunn's world now, aren't we? Hell yeah. Not the characters I think would show up in a Shazam movie, but also not who I thought would show up in Black Adam.
Right after she showed up in Black Adam,
which is interesting. Like even though he's joined on with James Gunn as this new lead, Peter Safran has been a Warner Brothers producer for a long time, right? So it's the Justice Society. Didn't we just see them though? Is this a new Justice Society? Is it that Justice Society?
I'm sure it is, because like Waller's clearly connected to that Justice Society.
Yeah.
Let's just go with the context, like pre-Flash of all this.
Yes.
And so Waller is connected to that Justice Society, and Harcourt is as well. And so like when Waller recruits somebody and not Batman, they go to the Justice Society.
Yeah.
And that's where she wants Shazam.
They're like the UN Justice League.
You know what I just realized? So once we got to that scene and Fanny looks over to me, she's like, wait, the Justice Society? How's that different than the Justice League? I completely forgot that the JSA was in Black Adam.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until 5 seconds ago I was like, wait a minute. Oh my God, I'm an idiot. Because I was thinking, oh yeah, they're going to form the Justice Society. We already got the Justice Society. Black Adam's Fate.
Well,
oh my God. Yeah, Dr. Fate was the best part of that thing. I do like Hawkman. Hawkman was cool, but Dr. Fate was empty. Black Adam's forgettable. It's mid. There's a reason why I said it.
10K. I really like this post-credit scene just because, again, I love those Peacemaker characters. I think they're great. They're just fun actors to be around. But like the idea that there does seem to be some sort of plan that James Gunn is building to is and we're seeing even the earliest stages of it. In theory, is really cool,
because we don't know if this wasn't just also done around the same time they were doing the Black Adam tie-in stuff. And so just trying to build that cohesive narrative that was pre James Gunn actually making the plans of the entire universe. So we don't know how this is really going to roll into the next.
I'm just saying
the next chapter.
They could have cut that if they didn't want to. If they could have Justice Society stuff has to happen, because like why include this scene at all then? Like they could have cut it with James Gunn coming in. Why not cut it if you're not going to do that?
So his wife gets a paycheck.
Well, she got paid anyway. She got paid anyway. I definitely think the second one we'll talk about, that is the fun one where I think they're making fun of not having a plan. But the first one, like, it does feel like, hey, we're gonna throw something at the wall and see if it sees. How do you guys feel about that? What if Shazam joined the Justice Society? He's an old guy. He's part of that thing once, right? Like, how do you feel about that? I don't know if anyone knows who the Justice Society is, if you've ever read a comic book.
Or didn't see Black Adam.
Even then, Ben knows the shit and he didn't remember. So
I was all like talking about how the JSA were the wartime heroes. They predated Justice League, yada yada yada. Just anymore. Like stretching my comic knowledge muscles, and then literally 5 seconds, and then 20 minutes or 10 minutes or 5 minutes ago, it's like, oh wait, they were in the Black Adam film. Son of a bitch.
Yeah. I'm strongly all for James Gunn and Safran's like future for the DC universe and like what they're doing. I'm really all for it. I do think it's a shame that the Henry Cavill, The Rock, Zachary Levi showdown is not going to happen. Because partially because The Rock is like, who's Shazam who? But also because like we're just leaving all that behind. And I do think that's a bummer. I think it's a shame to have had like Jimon Hansu in Black Adam last year, and like all the connective tissue starting to really bake in, and it's like that part of the story that's not going to come to anything.
And also how we're probably never going to get a Shazam Black Adam or Shazam Superman v Black Adam movie.
At least that's what I was saying.
Yeah. Yeah, the Rock really bungled things up because again, like David Sandberg doing a bunch of interviews now.
Just recast Black Adam and you can do it.
100%. He's talking about, he's like, yeah, like it obviously makes sense for Black Adam to fight Shazam. We all wanted it to happen. It just wasn't in the cards. Because he even said, because The Rock, he even said that's money just being left on the table for Warner Brothers, but it's not my decision to make. He clearly wants to do it.
Yeah,
like it's just The Rock has too much power, unfortunately.
He doesn't want to be Tina Huerta and be the cool Namor character, which he just should have.
He should have just
put his ego aside.
He will never be Cuckoo Clock.
Mag, can you elaborate? Cool to see a cameo of a TV version, Billy Batson?
So there was an old school like 70s TV show of Shazam of Captain Marvel. I wonder if like, do you mean the actor? Did like an old man show up?
I'm pretty sure because the guy who was in the red and white shirt who says "Good to see you, Captain Marvel." I'm pretty sure that was. I'm pretty sure that was him. That's the guy that Mag is referring to.
No, yeah, there's definitely because I just watched the video on Shazam and there was like an old TV show that he was. So that's a good catch, Mag. I love that.
Yeah. I had a feeling he was important because not only does he drop his original comic book name, but also he's wearing the color scheme of Captain Marvel's Shazam. So I'm like, I don't know who this guy is, but he seems important.
Love it. That's cool. Yeah, giving him the Captain Marvel. Oh, also like how Shazam is his name. It's like, oh yeah, of course it is. At the end, I think that's cute and charming. I forgot that he didn't have a name yet. That makes sense because the whole movie's like Captain Ivy Power and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about a worm.
Oh God, I'm actually glad they brought the worm back and they brought.
I would have been pissed if they didn't.
Yeah, I was expecting Black Adam to show up, but now that I forgot, Rock has an ego, never gonna show up. So, but I'm glad they brought the worm back and they brought Savannah back for a hot second.
Mark Strong, what a trooper. I love him just coming back to do a post-credit scene. Like he probably like, will he show up as Savannah again? Like in like real, like a movie, maybe not, but like I love, and again, like, I feel like this is like the opposite of that first scene, even if nothing happens with that first scene, but this whole thing of like, I'm the villain and I've been catching this plane for years.
2 years.
2 years. Well, hold on. Actually,
it takes me time to go from place to place. I think it's very funny because like it was the post-credits tease from the last one, which is again like really funny in context because like nobody knows who that worm is, and so then and then you get to 2 years later and he's like, don't worry, we're still making plans.
But hold on,
like, will this ever happen?
Hold on, I have to go do something real quick.
The idea of Mark Strong's Dr. Savannah sitting in the cell just getting blue-balled about potential revenge forever is pretty funny.
At first I thought, just because my comic book brain, I'm like, oh, are they setting up the Justice Society and here's the villains that they'll fight? Then I'm thinking of like, no, that worm ran away again before he actually said anything. I'm like, nah, they're just making fun of not having a plan. I think it was really clever. Like, you just make Mr. Mime just like the post-credit villain. That would actually be incredibly funny. Where he only shows up in post-credit scenes and is just frustrated by it. I'd be okay with that. I thought it was cute.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah. Because I was trying to remember the Captain Marvel book we read a long time ago when the first Shazam movie came out that introduces that worm, or it doesn't introduce, but the worm is a major villain of that book. So of course, when we saw it in the post-credit scene, we were like, oh my God, they're doing this deep cut of this book that we just read. And then we get to the scene. I'm like, cool, they're still referring to it. I like it. I do find it funny.
I don't think we mentioned it earlier, but Mag pointed out that we still don't get a magic tiger yet. And I'm like, that wouldn't have fit in this movie, in my opinion.
No.
Like, this movie's very stuffed as it is.
Mm-hmm.
Darla does name the kitten she adopts Tawny, but gives it back. I do like that scene where she's like, oh, kitten. She saves the kittens first. And the girl in the Beatles like, did she just leave us? She zooms right back. Any final thoughts, gentlemen?
I'm really just on that post-credits thing. Like, I'm really glad they did get Mark Strong back to do that because, like, I think that was better than just like not doing it at all. Is like bringing it all back again and being like, someday maybe,
maybe.
Again, like just like humor on point for this movie.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, I had a really good time. I think there are some minor things that could have improved it overall, but like pretty good outing.
What would you rate it?
I had a lot of fun. I would rate it an 8.
That is exactly where I'm at as well. I was between a 7.5 and an 8, but I think this movie is funnier than a 7.5 would give it. I think there are better qualities than a 7.5, so I'm giving it an 8.
I think I'll still keep it at 7.5, although I will say you guys have talked me up from bringing it up, because I was originally thinking maybe a 6.5. But the more I talked about it with you guys, the more I realized that actually, no, this is a funny movie. While it's not the best superhero movie, I still did have a good time. It was probably my theater experience that did kind of damper the mood a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
Other than that, because after talking about the scenes, I mean, I will not laugh at "Taste the Rainbow, Mother," nay, and you see like the unicorn neighing. I'm like, damn, unicorn's scary.
Black heavy
King
metal
of beasts.
Yeah,
the king of the beasts.
Yeah, and like how it has sharp teeth and it's not just a complete horse. This movie, I still believe that maybe if the script can get a once over, maybe a twice over, we would have something amazing. The potential was there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What we got, I'm still happy about it, but I still think we could have had a truly great superhero movie. I still think this is a fun time in the movie theaters, but I would still say it's 7.5. It's still good. I like it. I just don't love it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I'm happy that it came out much more positive than people were making me afraid of.
Yeah.
Over the past
Yes.
few years. Like I'm quite positive about it.
And like whatever again with that Justice Society post-credit scene, that makes me think that they could have cut that. Regardless, like Shazam will show up again. Like they're not done with Shazam.
Right.
And like I like this movie enough where I'm like, I would like to see this continue in some capacity, even if it's not another Shazam movie. Have the Shazam or even just Billy show up in someone else's movie. Like I hope
we don't lose the family. I will say.
I think that would be a huge mistake.
If we're not losing Billy, then I don't want to lose any of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's also the double-edged sword of like you introduce a family so early instead of have Billy grow his own thing. It's like having you just start with the family. You can't. Are you gonna start killing the family? You can't do that. Like. You always got to have the family. It's always a Shazam.
Yeah, always got to have the Shazamly.
Love it. Well,
alrighty.
All right, Brandon, take us out.
I got you.
I was about to say because I just pulled the stuff up just in case.
It's like he's got a computer right in front of him. Go for it. We're gonna end the show now, Ben. I love it.
Alrighty. Okay. Well, I'm the Brandon now. I just want to say thank you to everyone who's been watching, and thank you to those who have been watching the replay. Sparks, Grayson, they've been in the comments and they've been probably watching us the entire time. Thank you guys so much.
You said Sparks. Sparks is in the comments watching the show.
Sparks is on the show. Grayson and Mag. That's who I was talking about.
He got cloned.
I don't, man. My brain, guys.
It's okay.
My brain sucks sometimes.
I get it.
But yeah, also we want to thank Jeremy Vellucci. He is the guy who makes all the cool music stuff that you guys hear. He makes our bumpers, our theme song. So you can check him out at Jeremy Vellucci Keyboards, right? That's Okay, cool. Yeah, so definitely check him out on Instagram and also check him out on the Real Store. That's going to be coming up soon. And also you could check out his podcast, Suburban Proctologist, which you can still find on iTunes, as well as Facebook.com/Suburban Proctologist Official and Instagram at SubProcPodcast.
Ben,
and of course,
good night, Mag.
Ben, real quick, you're doing a great job, but yeah, you did jump over the plugs that Brandon does, which is where he really quickly reminds everyone that next week we're talking about John Wick Chapter 4. And Brandon did want us to mention that Conversation is going to have new episodes out next month, so keep an eye out for that. We got all 3 of our Fake Nerds Watch shows out right now. Last of Us, Picard, Mando dropping this week. Check those things out. Basement Arcade, Pause Menu, Fake Nerd Book Club, Animation Station. Check out all that stuff.
Bye, Grayson.
Check out our Patreon TeePublic. You can find links to all that on our website, fakenerdpodcast.com. It's all in the description, so check all that stuff out. All right, Ben, continue.
Yep, that wasn't written on this part, so I completely forgot about that. Oh wait, no, it is. I just
scrolled too far.
I scrolled too far to the end of show. Thank you. That's what I did. So the Brandon makes this look so much easier than it really is.
Well, yeah, he does it every day. He does it every time. Yeah,
he does it every week. And of course, the biggest thank you to Mike Matola. He is the one who designed our awesome logo that you can see in the corner. Normally it was above my head, but actually this time it's above Ryan's head. How cool is that? And you could follow him at Mike Matola on Instagram and TikTok, where he is making very funny videos. And of course, if you, the audience, want to get involved and just talk to us and chat with us a little bit more, you can. We're on Twitter at Fake Nerd Podcast. We are on Instagram at Fake Nerd Podcast. And also you can email us at fakenerdguys@gmail.com. if you want to get in touch with us a little bit personally, like maybe chat with me why I thought Black Adam was so mid, you can at BedMagnet27, which is on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all around. Guys, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me, Rhinoiopolis, just uber hyped for John Wick 4. I just love me some Keanu Reeves, just triple shotting dudes who killed his puppies. Even though it's the movie 4, that's like 10 years ago at this point. You can find me at DJ Tony Snark 616.
Sparks?
You can find me checking into the Continental to toast the concierge at Sparks Witty on Instagram and Twitter, SPARKZ Witty.
Oh, we are all going to be doing that when that movie comes out, because my heart. Sure. But anyways, subscribe to the channel, leave a like, hit that bell whenever we go live, because that helps out, because that really helps out the channel.
Sure.
And also leave a review wherever you find podcasts. But until next time, guys, let me pull up that one little bit.
I got it.
You got it? All right, you got it. You're off to stay fake, nerds.